everybody, David here, and we are back with another video or another live stream. I always say video when I come in here. I don't know why. It is a video, but it's a live stream. I like to differentiate the two. But yeah, so we are back, and long time no see. I was here yesterday, so we're back today. So this will round out our week. So this is the first week where I've done a video on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Actually, last week I did Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but this is like the first official one because this is the one where I told you guys, yes, this is the way the platform is going to start working. So on Saturdays we talk about travel credit cards. We talked about the Apple card this last Saturday. And then Sunday, yesterday, we talked about just travel in general. We kind of talked a little bit about Airbnb. We also talked about Wow Air and that whole issue there with them going under. What's going on, Jeremy? What's going on, David? How you guys doing? So today we're going to talk just about photography, okay? And I say just about, but we're going to talk about photography today. And the main thing that I want to talk about is Carnival. And yes, I'm talking about Colombia again, but I want to talk about Carnival, how to take better pictures. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I take the pictures that I take. I will show you guys a slideshow of pictures while I'm talking, so you guys can see some of the good pictures, or the good pictures. Look at me being me. Some of the pictures that I took, and then you can decide for yourself, hey, yeah, these look good. Maybe I should listen to this guy. He's got something to say that might help my photography. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll show you my gear too. I have my gear here, so I'll show you the gear that I use. Not all the gear that I have, but the gear that I used, mainly the gear that I use for the Carnival. And that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. And then we'll go into the question and answer. You guys can ask me whatever questions you want in regards to photography, as well as Colombia too, because we are talking about Colombia. And then if you guys have any other questions, comments, or anything like that, then feel free to put those out there. We also want to promote our Facebook group. So I started a Facebook group last week, and so far it's great. I mean, there's a lot of participation in the group, and let me put that link in here so you guys can check it out. Just jump into the group. I have a few administrators that can accept you right away if they're available. If not, then right after this stream, then I'll jump in and I'll accept you. So just join. Let me grab that link for you guys. And so I'm just going to make sure everything is working properly, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the stream today. And let's see, I gotta find I don't know why I don't just have the link. I should just have the link somewhere so I can always just grab it real quick. Let's see. So I hope everyone's doing well. This is, I know it's the first day of the week for everyone and work and all that good stuff. But, you know, hope everyone's doing well at the beginning of the week. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I don't know why I lost that. All right, here we go. So I'm going to grab that link there and then put that out there to you guys. And like always, there are some issues going on with my chat. One day, I will figure this whole thing out, this whole chat thing. I'm using Streamlabs OBS. I like the software. This is what I use to. It's like a secondary thing for my live stream. I think it's probably not working because it said it was going to upload some stuff. So that's probably why it's not working the way it normally does. But that just allows me to go from screen to screen. So when I'm flipping from different screens, it allows me to do all that good stuff, as well as it has some other little bells and whistles. So that's why I use that. I don't just jump on I don't just jump on Yahoo. Wow, can I get it right? I don't just jump on YouTube and hit the live stream and then go, because it doesn't allow me all the same flexibility that I have with this one. Okay, so if you do jump in, please let me know you're here just by saying hello. And if you are new here, please let us know where you're coming from. So let's see here. Okay, I got that right there. All right, so we'll get started. Let me just actually start off just by kind of giving you, I don't want people, how you doing, Michael? I don't want people to think like, oh, I need really expensive gear. And this is one of those things, and I remember when I first started out in photography, I've been a photographer for about 10 years now. So when I first started out, I used to listen to, I used to hear people tell me the same thing that I'm telling you guys right now. You don't need expensive gear. But when I show you my gear, yes, my gear is relatively expensive, okay? So I get it. And when you're telling someone you don't need expensive gear, but then you're pulling out expensive gear, they're saying, well, you're not making sense. Why don't you use the cheap gear then, you know, they're inexpensive gear. But Adrian, what's going on, buddy? Okay, let me just start off by saying this. A professional photographer will probably use professional gear, right? And the main reason for that is not because that gear is it's because the gear is good, but it's because the gear will give you good results over a long period of time. Okay, so when I buy my gear, I buy gear thinking, okay, I'm shooting, like I shoot weddings, right? I need gear that's not going to fail on me, okay? I need gear that's going to last me years, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. I want that camera body to be able to last. And just so you guys know, when it comes to cameras have a certain number of actuations that they can perform. It's kind of like a car. You buy a car, you know you're going to get maybe around about maybe 120,000 miles. I'm just giving you an example, but cars vary, right? So you know if you buy a more expensive car, you're probably going to get better, you're going to be able to drive that car a little longer, okay? If you invest money into a truck, you're probably going to be able to drive that truck a little longer, probably be able to haul a lot more stuff and things like that. So that's the same thing when it comes to photography. Like a professional photographer, because I'm doing it as a profession and I'm going out and I'm shooting a wedding, I'm shooting 2,000 images each wedding that I shoot, I want to make sure that I'm investing money into something that's going to last me over the long haul, right? So the reason that I'm telling you that is because that's why I buy the gear, okay? The more expensive gear. But do you need to have expensive gear if you're going to be traveling every, let's say, 2-3 times a year, and you want to go to Carnival, you want to go to these different places and take pictures? Do you need expensive gear? Not necessarily, no. Because that camera that you have, let's say it's a $400 camera, it can get the job done. It might not get the job done for 5 years, but it can get the job done for, you know, your trips when you travel. So that's why, and this wasn't really explained to me when, like I said, when you hear people tell you when you first get started, oh, you don't need expensive gear, you can just use this, you can just use that, and then they open up their bag and they have all this expensive gear, and you're like, well, what is this all about? You say you don't need expensive gear, but you're using it. So if you do photography as a profession, then yes, you're probably gonna buy the more expensive gear. As well as it does make things easier. If you have more expensive gear, it does make things easier in certain situations. If I have a lens that's a high quality lens, and that's where your money should be spent on lenses. Okay, so the reason that I say that is you can buy a camera body. Camera bodies they're going to evolve over time. So you'll buy a camera body, and I say 5 to 6 years when I was talking about getting new cameras, because that technology will be obsolete in 5 to 6 years. And then you're going to want to upgrade and get another camera body that will have the latest and greatest technology, right? But the lenses you're going to keep for a long period of time. You can keep the lenses for 10, 15 years because the lens, the technology is pretty much there. Like you can't really, you can improve on technology with lenses, but it's very slow. And so you can buy a lens, and even if it doesn't have the latest and greatest technology, you're still going to be able to get some really good shots out of that lens. So that's why I tell people, you don't have to buy an expensive camera body, but if you are going to invest money, let's say you want to do it for a profession, or you want to do, you want better results with your pictures, put that money into lenses, because that's where your money's going to go further. Okay, you don't always have to buy expensive lenses. You can buy a 50 millimeter lens, 50 millimeter 1.8 lens. That lens pretty much across the board, whether it's Sony, Canon, Nikon. You're gonna pay, I think Sony is like $200 and something, which is ridiculous. But if you buy the Canon 50mm 1.8, which is like the nifty 50, the real popular lens for people just getting started out, that lens is like $120, and it can produce some really good results. Now the quality's there as far as the image, but the quality of the build of that lens is not the greatest. It's like a plastic lens. So that's the drop off there. But when it comes down to it, ask me questions if you guys have any how can I say this? If you guys have any questions about cameras and lenses and what should I get, just ask me in the chat and we can go over that. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there. You don't need the most expensive gear when it comes to cameras. And if you are going to spend money, spend it on the lenses. Don't spend it on the camera bodies. You can get away with a lot when it comes to camera bodies. But when it comes to lenses, there's certain lenses that you're going to want to get. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So let's see who else is in here. Let me know just by saying hello. And then also, if we can get some likes on the video, that way we can push it up in the algorithms, YouTube algorithms, and get more people involved, more people in here. Okay, so I went to Colombia. It's been what, 3 weeks now? It was March 1st, so it's been a month. I was in Colombia a month ago. I went to Carnaval in Barranquilla, Colombia. This is the first time I've ever went to Carnaval anywhere, and I had the time of my life. It was a real good time. Adrian was there, and a few other people were there as well. So it was a really good experience. Okay, so I just kind of want to go over what I did, how I got the pictures that I got, and just kind of a little behind, not really behind the scenes because I don't have any video of me actually taking pictures, but I do have a couple of videos that are up on my channel just about me getting to Barranquilla and then the first day when I actually went to the Carnival, and I have some pictures on there as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you need a camera, right? And I talked a little bit about last week about just cameras in general, like what are cameras? Like what are the different types of cameras, I should say. And you have your phone. We all have cameras on our phone for the most part. I don't know if anyone that doesn't have a camera on their phone, but all smartphones that I know of have a camera on them, okay? Those cameras are pretty good. The only problem with those cameras is they're not good in low light. So when I say low light, I mean anything indoors for the most part, unless it's well lit indoors, like where you can, like you're standing right next to a window or you have the lighting, like I have lighting on me right now, that's good light. But in most situations, if you're indoors and maybe you have a light on here, light on there, you're going to be in low light. So that's where the iPhones and the Samsung Note, Galaxy, whatever, that's where they fall off. Okay, so you have those phones, or you have the phone cameras. The phone cameras, the sensors are going to be very small, and that's why they struggle with low light, because they can't really pull in all that light. The sensor is not able to handle it. So then you bump up to a point and shoot camera. When I say point and shoots, I mean not the real inexpensive point and shoots. Let's say the ones that are like $120 or $200. We're talking more point and shoot, but this is more in the range of $400 or $500. Okay, this is the LX10, and this was a great camera until it broke on me. So I haven't used it since. But this is great for. One of the main reasons it's great is because I can zoom in and zoom out. So I can zoom into, I think it's 70 millimeters. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's 70 millimeters. So I can zoom into, so it's 24 to 72, so 72 millimeters. I can zoom into 72 millimeters, so that's pretty good. So if someone is not right in front of me, I can zoom in just a little bit. 72 millimeters is not like a real close zoom, and I'll show you later with the camera that I use and the lens that I use. You're gonna want to be able to isolate people, and when you're taking pictures of like a parade and things like that. If you just get a wide shot, one wide shot is good, but all these wide shots, they really don't tell a story because you can't really focus on anything. If it's a wide shot, everyone's pretty much in focus, and you can't really, it doesn't really tell a story. The only story that it's going to tell is there's a lot of people here, right? And there's some shots where I kind of pulled back and I wanted to get that wide shot just because I wanted you to see that there are a lot of people. But for the most part, what I like to do when I go to events and parades and things like that, I want to isolate certain people. Okay, so interesting things, interesting people, beautiful women, let's face it. But I want to isolate them, and so that's what I'm focused on. So this camera's good, and like I said, I think I paid, it's like 500 and something that I paid for this camera. And yeah, it doesn't work right now. The problem that I had with it is that, you know, they quote that this is a pocket-sized camera, right? So what do? I put it in my pocket. One thing that I really don't like about this camera is the on and off switch. It can be triggered very easily. And so what happened was in my pocket, the on and off, or the switch turned on, and when it turns on, the lens it opens up. So it comes out. And so it's in my pocket, it opens up, and it damages the setup. Like it wouldn't focus anymore. So now I have it, it's not focusing. So basically I need to take it to have them fix it. And I need to actually do that this month sometime, because I bought it in May of last year. So you have 1 year warranty. So hopefully the warranty will cover this. So that's a point and shoot that I'm talking about. The sensor on this is a little bit larger than the sensor on your phone. So in low light, it's just a little bit better, okay? And then you move into, which I'm using this camera right now, it's a Micro Four Thirds, the Panasonic G7. I'm using that to do this live stream. Excellent camera for video, excellent. So when it comes to video, you don't need the high megapixels like everyone's thinking, oh, I need 24 megapixels or I need 42 megapixels. You don't need all that for video, because video at most is going to shoot 4K, right? So you don't need, I think it's 4K is like 12 megapixels. So that's all you really need in the camera. And you'll see a lot of cameras that shoot 4K, they have that 12 megapixel camera. You see it a lot with like GoPros and the action cameras. They don't need to have 16 megapixels or 24 megapixels in that camera, because most people aren't going to use it to take pictures. They're going to use it for video. So they'll have 4K, but it'll be like 12 megapixel sensor. So this is a Micro Four Thirds. That's a little larger than a point and shoot. Okay, and so that gives you even better low light possibilities. However, it's still I still need light. You obviously see I have well, you don't see, but I have these lights all set up. So you need these lights in order to pull off the image, right? To pull out the picture. Okay, so we have those. We talked about that, and I don't have another Micro Four Thirds, so I can't really talk about that. And then you have the APS-C size sensor, which I don't have any more of those. I sold mine out. So APS-C size sensor is a little bit larger than a Micro Four Thirds, and the APS-C size sensor is a great for start. Like if you're starting out, let's say you want to take photography to the next level, and you're thinking, hey, you know what? I would like to maybe go out and shoot some portraits, or go out and shoot some landscape photography and get some really good results. Go with an APS-C size sensor, okay? Those cameras, they range from anywhere from $400 to, I've seen them up as high as like $1,200, okay? And some of them are actually getting a little more expensive, more expensive than that. But for the most part, that's kind of the range. They're APS-C size sensor. They're great. When I first started out, Canon 7D, which the Canon 7D at the time was like $1,600. Great camera. Okay, I was able to take some really good images with that, and it's good for both taking pictures of people. It's good in low light. It's also the perfect camera for landscape photography. I had the Sony NEX7 way back in the day. That was an excellent camera for landscapes because it was a smaller camera. I could pretty much almost put the whole thing in my pocket. Usually the way the Sony cameras were back in those days, they had like it was offset. So the lens was here, and then you had like a long grip. So I was able to stick the grip in my pocket and just have the lens hanging out. And so I used that for the longest, and I enjoyed that camera. And then I got the Sony A5100. Those are all APS-C size sensor cameras. And I guess we can kind of go in. I can show you, since I don't have those cameras with me. I could just show you. Let me also do this. Let's do this. And I'll open this up to you guys in a second. Camera. I just want you to get an idea of the sensors that I'm talking about, what they look like. So we'll pull that up. Okay. So let's see. 2/3, 1/3, 1 inch, micro 4/3. Okay, yeah, this is a pretty good diagram here. Let's see. How large is that going to get? Not very large, apparently. Okay, let's just grab this. Yeah, I just want to show you guys the different sizes and sensors, just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And then, because that's what makes the difference. Okay, so when you see all these cameras that are coming out and they're quoting this and they're quoting that, and you're thinking, oh, well, why is this one better than this one, and all that good stuff, it comes down to the sensor. And the larger sensor size is what's going to get you the better quality picture. And so, like I said, when you talk about professionals, why do you buy expensive cameras if you don't need an expensive camera? Well, if I'm out and I'm shooting a wedding, and I can take some really good pictures with an inexpensive camera, yes. But if I start getting some challenges, let's say we're in a low lit situation, I don't want to interrupt anything. And like there's certain churches that you go and you take pictures in certain churches, they won't allow you to use a flash. Okay, so I couldn't use an inexpensive camera that has a very small sensor, because I'm not going to be able to really get some good images out of that. Whereas if I have a camera that is more expensive, it has the larger sensor, it's going to be able to capture more light. The lens, if I have a lens that's what we call a fast lens, a lens that has a big aperture, I'm able to take in more light, and I'm able to take pictures without using a flash. Okay, and plus, when you're using a flash, you don't want it to look like it was shot using a flash. That's what you don't want. So you want to be able to take a picture where you're using flash, but you use a little bit of flash, you use some off-camera flash, that kind of stuff, where you still get the same dimensions. And so when you're looking at a person, it doesn't look like it was taken with the flash, and it's so obvious when it's taken with the flash. You see the big flash bulbs in people's eyes, and then you also just see a flat look. So there's no dimension in that person. Like if you look at me right now, and let me see if I get this right. Okay, this side. So you see this side of my face, there's a little bit of shadow. This side of my face is a little brighter because I have a light coming down here, and then I have a fill light over there that's giving me a little bit of light, but it still gives me a little bit of shadow. I look more three-dimensional. Whereas if I just grab this light, this big light, and put it right in front of me, right over the camera, then I'm just going to be, there's not going to be any dimension in me at all, in my face at all. So you want to have some dimension. Okay, so let me show you this real quick. I just want to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about with the sensors. Okay, and it looks like part of the the full frame sensors cut off, but okay, so we start down here. You're looking at these small little sensors here, okay, and these are the ones that you're going to have in most of your phones. And as you go up, you'll have the higher quality phones, the ones that quote the better image quality and all that. A lot of those would be up here with this sensor here, okay, or this sensor here. You're going to have point and shoot cameras that are going to have sensors about this size, and then you have the 1-inch sensor. That 1-inch sensor is going to be in most of your higher end point and shoot cameras. So your higher end point and shoot cameras are going to have like an inch sensor. And then you get in the micro 4/3, like I said. So you see the difference. It's almost twice the size here. So the micro 4/3 is this right here, and this is what you would see in most in like the Panasonic G7, the one that I'm shooting video on right now. And you also need to think about, what am I getting a camera for? Am I getting it for video, or am I getting it for mainly for video, or mainly for taking pictures? If I'm getting a camera mainly for video, micro four thirds is fine. And you have the GH5, you have the G85, you have the G7, the one that I'm using here. Excellent cameras for video, excellent. The only problem is their autofocus is not very good. But as far as the quality of the image that's coming out, video image, it's great. It's excellent. So yes, you will struggle in low light, somewhat. You'll struggle in low light, but you can use off-camera light, which hopefully you'll have. And if you have it set up, like I use this camera mainly for what we're doing right now, live streams, as well as if I'm shooting like a video that I'm going to upload to YouTube, but it's just me sitting here talking. This is my go-to camera. Okay, there's no image stabilization or anything in the camera. Certain lenses, if I buy certain lenses, I have image stabilization, which is very important for video. So there's that. Now, if you go up to the 1.5 and the APS-C, they're about the same. You see the size here; they're about the same. But these are more common. Okay, you very rarely see a 1.5 inch sensor. Usually they just jump straight up from micro four thirds to the APS-C sensors. Okay, so you have Canon, and then you have, this would like be a Nikon, I guess, as what they're saying, APS-H. Okay, so you're looking at these three here. They're all APS-H, very uncommon. You don't see those very often. Usually you're gonna have this sensor here, the APS-C size sensor. All right, so these are great. This is a great starter. You can really save money going with the APS-C sensor. And like I said, if you can shoot professionally with this, I can shoot a wedding with that, no problem. I've had the, like I said, the Canon 7D. I had that camera. That was the first camera that I ever purchased, and I used that for weddings. When I first started shooting weddings, I was using that camera up until I'd say about 2 years into shooting weddings, and I got a full frame lens, or full frame sensor. So we're looking at this size here. So you see these two, and you see the difference. There's a little bit of a difference there. Not all sensors are exactly the same. So you'll have sensors for Canon, you'll have sensors for Nikon, you'll have sensors for Sony, and they're not exactly the same dimensions. And so that's why they differentiate these here. Now, like I said, APS-H, I can't think of a camera right now that's APS-H, but they do exist. That sensor does exist. But usually you're going to jump from APS-C up to full frame. And you can see the difference in size there. So you have this size, and then you have this huge size here, right? So full frame is pretty much where most professional photographers, that's what they use. Okay, that gives you the best quality when it comes to video as well as photos. And video in the sense that it's a larger sensor, so it can absorb more light, take in more light, and it's one of those things where people, like when they talk about taking pictures, and you start hearing people quote the megapixel count, right? Oh, well, this camera has 24 megapixels. Oh, well, this camera has 42 megapixels. So you can have your phone with a 24 megapixel sensor, right? But it's 24 of this little blue dot that I have down here. So 24 of those compared to a 24 megapixel full frame camera where you're getting 24 of these. So that's the difference. Okay, so all this information can be gathered on this sensor. You can gather a lot more information, right, than you can on this little blue one. So they can both be 24 megapixel, but guess what? The full frame is going to give you a lot more information than your phone. Okay, so that's where they differ, as well as the God, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I hate when that happens. So excuse me. So you're getting more detail, and that's what we're talking about. And then, like we said, low light. This is going to capture better in low light. This small little phone lens or phone sensor is not going to capture that much in low light. You're going to lose a lot of information. And that's why when you look at a picture that's taken with a phone, if you zoom into it, or sometimes you don't even have to zoom into it. Let's say it's taken at night or taken in low light. You see those little pixels, right? All that, that's just lost information. That's information that the camera can't pull out. Whereas if you take it with a full frame camera, you can get some really sharp shots at night or in low light, right? So all lenses, all cameras need light. But some cameras work better in low light than others. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show you guys that. And then let's see here. Let's jump back here. Who else is in here? What's going on, that guy? What's going on, HD chilling? So yeah, we're gonna just keep talking here. Reckless, what's going on, brother? We're gonna keep talking here, and I just wanted to pull up one more thing. So I just wanted to show you kind of the difference in cameras here. And if you guys have questions, let me know. If you have any questions about different cameras, what cameras to get, that kind of stuff. Mainly for travel, that's what we're talking about. If you see. And then I also didn't say, so you have other cameras too. So you'll have like the medium format cameras, which that sensor is even larger than the full frame. So medium format is the highest, but the only thing when it comes to medium format is most cameras, actually this is a pretty good picture here. I want to show you guys this one. Most cameras, most people aren't going to use a medium format camera. For one reason, they're huge. They're big cameras. So you have the DSLR cameras, like a DSLR full frame camera is probably about this big, and then you have medium format. It's even bigger than that. Okay, and medium format cameras are very expensive. Most of them they start at like $6 grand and they go up to like 40 grand if you get some of all the bells and whistles on a medium format. They're generally used for like commercial work. So when people are taking like studio stuff, but commercial stuff. Okay, because basically it's too much. Like it's overkill for a wedding. Even the camera that I have now, the Sony A7R III, it's overkill for a wedding in the sense that it's a 42 megapixel full frame camera. So it's overkill. I like it though because it gives me, and this is another thing that professionals like too, it gives me more leeway. Okay, so when I say more leeway, if I shoot an image, a 42 megapixel, we kind of talked about the pixels, right? So 42 megapixel image on a full frame. So you have 42 megapixels on a full frame, and let's say I want to crop that down. Let's say there's people in the image that I don't want in there. I want to kind of isolate. I took the picture, so now I want to crop it down. And I crop a lot of my images. I am not. Some photographers will tell you, no, you have to get it right, all right in camera. Well, that's the goal. Absolutely. The goal is to get it right in camera. You don't always have that opportunity, right? And I'll show you in some of these pictures when I was shooting at the Carnaval, you don't always have the opportunity to get it all right. And it really bothers me sometimes. I'd rather shoot wider and then crop it in, then shoot too tight and then cut off people's hands and things like that, which I did a lot of at Carnaval, I'll be honest, because they're dancing. And if you've ever been to Carnaval or if you ever just watched it, you know when they're dancing, they're moving fast. And so I'm trying to keep them in frame, but they're moving at the same time. And so if you do try to isolate someone and get up close to them, a lot of times you are going to miss. You're going to miss things. So you're going to cut people's stuff off. So shooting a little wider and then cropping in post is okay. I'm fine with that. Some photographers tell you, no, I never crop my images. I take the picture. That's the way. That's the finished product once I hit the shutter. So, hey, more power to you. But what's going on, that guy? So when it comes down to it, I want to show you too the micro 4/3, and let's see here. We'll pop that open here. So this is just another example, and they're showing you here. This is actually a better diagram here because it shows you exactly what you're looking at. So this is a sensor for your phone. There's your point and shoot. So these are your cheaper point and shoots. This would be like $120, something like that. This is a cheaper model. Like this, that they're showing here, that's like $200 at most. This is $400. Okay, so the sensor in this is a little bit bigger. They don't have the size like a 1-inch sensor. This, actually no, they do have some. What is this one here? 4.3. Okay, yeah, so they do have 2-inch 4/3. Okay, so yeah, so that would be like a $200 lens. This one that's red or burgundy, whatever that color is, and then you go up to a little larger sensor here, and then these are all point and shoots though. Okay, this is more like I think this is a pin. I can't see what Olympus. I think that's Olympus. And then you start getting like these are detachable lenses, so they have little detachable lenses, but the sensors are still small. Okay, and then you'll get up to your 4/3. This is your micro 4/3 here, that size, and then up here. I know I just showed you guys this, but I'm going to show you again real quick. So here we go. Here's the APS-H, and that would be on. This is 1DX. I can't see the thing, but it's a 1D. It's a Canon 1DX. These cameras are mainly for sports, okay, shooting sports, and so the sensor's a little bit smaller. One of the beauties, or one of the good things about shooting like APS-C or APS-H, smaller sensor than a full frame. One of the benefits is if I put a long lens on that, and I don't want to get too technical with you guys right now, but if I put a long lens on that, it will zoom in a little bit closer than a full frame, okay? And I'm just going to leave it at that. It will zoom in a little bit closer. So a lot of photographers that shoot sports, they want to get the most range out of that lens that they can, okay? So they use an APS-H or an APS-C size sensor because it will zoom in. It will give them a little bit more reach. So they like that without losing that much quality. And then when you're shooting sports, for the most part, not in all situations, but for the most part, the lighting conditions will be adequate. So you'll be shooting in the daytime, or if you're shooting at night, it's going to be, for the most part, it'll be a relatively well lit. Let's just say that. Okay, so and then you move into full frame, and then like we talked about here. This is your medium format, and you see the size. You can't really see the size difference here. They're actually showing, this is I think that's a D800 or 810 or something, or 850. I don't know. Anyway, they're showing you this with the grip attached, or yeah, the grip's attached there, so it looks a lot bigger. You can get a DSLR that's smaller than that. That's a full frame. That's a little bit larger than this one. They're just showing you the bigger models here, and then you have the medium format here. Okay, so just wanted to go over that with you guys. All right, so let's talk about the Carnaval. All right, now let's see what's in the chat real quick. Jeremy TC, what do you think of the DJI Osmo Pocket? I love the Osmo Pocket. I don't have it with me right now, but I do have the Osmo Pocket. I love that thing. Now, that is a small sensor. Okay, it's not even 1 inch, so it's smaller than the ones that I was pulling up. I don't know exactly. I don't know if they even quote exactly what size that sensor is, but it is probably along the area of like a point and shoot camera. Maybe I would say around this size, maybe a little bit smaller as far as the sensor. It is shooting video, so it does struggle in low light. Like I took it out walking around at night when I was in Colombia, and it does struggle, and you can see that it's struggling. You see some of the pixelation, like in areas where it's dark, you'll see it's kind of pixelated. So that does happen, but it's an excellent camera. It's so discreet. You can walk anywhere with it. You're not going to get harassed by anybody saying you can't film here and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's really good about it. I can take it anywhere and I can get the footage. I don't have to worry about having a big camera with me and trying to get the footage. So it's good. Even with your phone, like if I'm walking around with my phone and I'm trying to record stuff like a video or anything, people are onto it. They're like, oh, no, you can't film here, whatever. But if I have that little Osmo Pocket, if I'm walking around with it, just holding it, and I usually hold it kind of like a flashlight because it'll move, you know, it'll focus up. I just walk around. People, they don't pay it any mind, as well as talking. Like that's another thing. Like I don't like being a big distraction when I'm talking on, like when you do kind of like the vlog style. And I don't do that very often, but when I do it, it's a lot more comfortable to use that because I can walk and talk and people really don't pay it any mind, as opposed to if I had a big camera with a, you know, holding a Gorilla Pod, the big mic on the top and all that good stuff. Yeah, it just draws way too much attention. Okay, let's go down, see if there's any other questions here. In my personal opinion, I'd rather have a great smartphone camera in my pocket than a point and shoot. Okay, and that's David saying that. Now, the only thing I say about that is having a good phone or having a good camera on your phone is good, but when you have a point and shoot, getting the right type point and shoot, if you get something like this, the fact that you can zoom in with this lens is great. You can zoom in with your phone, but you're deteriorating, or the quality, the image, it's a digital zoom, so the image is gonna suffer. Okay, so if I zoom in, and I know we've all done this before, where you have your phone and you see something, and you zoom in with your, you know, the digital zoom, you zoom in, and then the image looks horrible when you take the picture. So with this, you have the optical zoom, so it's gonna zoom in using the lens, not digitally. So this is designed to take pictures. Your phone is designed to do a variety of different things. Okay, so you're always, in most situations, going to come out with a better image if you're using something that's dedicated and that's of good quality. Now, if you have something cheap, if you buy a cheap camera, point and shoot camera, yeah, you're gonna struggle. And then the other thing too that I always say when it comes to cameras versus cell phones is it's nice to have something that's dedicated and that you don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about my phone battery dying. I can shoot video with my camera all day, or not all day, but you get the point. I can shoot for a period of time. Whereas with my phone, if I'm shooting video, I'm gonna come to a point where I'm running out of memory, or I'm gonna come to a point where I don't want to run my battery down. So having a point and shoot is great for that as well. And then let's face it, if you're traveling, you have your phone out all the time, you have your camera out all the time. I don't know about you, but I would rather, if there was something that went down and I lost my phone, or not my phone, my camera, or if someone took my camera, I would rather them take a little point and shoot camera as opposed to taking my phone. That's just my opinion. Let's see, but camera phones are very good. If you can walk up to whatever the object is and take a picture of it, and it's in daylight, then most likely you'll get a good shot. And then another thing too, a lot of the point and shoot cameras like this one, it has a little flash on it. Okay, and they've gotten really creative with the flashes. And this thing, I'm not even gonna be able to turn it on, but they've gotten really creative with the flashes where they pop out. So this one pops out and I can bend it back. And so, you guys have probably seen it before, where it's just a little thing. It's not like a flash that just comes out and it's stationary. It's a flash that pops out and you can pull the flash back so it'll point up to the ceiling. And so you can get some pretty good shots that way. Let's say you don't want to shoot directional. Like I was saying, if I shoot a directional shot, it's just going to completely give that person you won't see any dimension. You're not going to see any shadows or anything like that. Whereas if I pull that little flash up and pop it up to the ceiling, it's going to hit the ceiling and then come down, and it will give you a little bit of dimension. Okay, it'll kind of fill out the shot a little bit better. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. Just grab a telephoto lens for your phone. You can do that. You can. Just remember, though, with those, Michael was saying that you can just grab the telephoto lenses for your phone. That's an option, but you're going to want to get good quality, okay? Because you have to look at you have your phone, and then you have your phone that has a lens on it, and now you're putting an additional lens over that. You're putting glass over that. So that glass has to be good quality glass, because if it's not, then your image is going to suffer. Okay, so You can get on Amazon. I've seen on Amazon some really inexpensive ones. You're probably going to want to go with something that's a little bit more expensive if you want to get a good shot, right? And then go ahead and purchase those. Plus, with lenses, and I don't know exactly how. I've never really used the little telephoto things that you put on your phone, but you also need to look at, like, lenses are really a big part of photography. So if you have like certain lenses, and I'll show you the one that I have in a second, but the aperture is the big deal, okay? And that's what you're paying money for. The glass, the quality of the glass, and the aperture. I don't know what happens with the little zoom ones that you put on your phones, but you definitely want, if you're going to start looking into lenses, you want to get something that has a really good aperture, fast aperture. Okay, and I'll tell you what that. I'll show you what that is. Okay, let's see, anything else? You can get a phone adapter for Canon, Nikon lenses also. You can get a phone, you can get phone adapters for Canon and Nikon lenses also. So phone adapters in what sense? Like, are you saying you put your phone up to a Canon or Nikon lens? I haven't seen that yet, but that would be interesting. Okay, but then you also have to think, you're investing all this money, right, into your phone camera with that sensor. You can use SLR lenses, so that guy's saying you can use SLR lenses. So you just have to think of it this way. And we saw the sensors, right? So you have your phone sensor. You're not gonna get a full frame sensor on your phone ever. APS-C, no, you're just gonna work all the way down. You have this small little sensor, right? So you're investing money into getting these adapters and things like that in order to use a larger lens, or a better lens, I should say, a more expensive lens, or a higher quality lens, DSLR lens. But you can also just go out and buy a DSLR. I don't know how much these things are, but I would imagine that if you're converting, they're probably going to be at least a couple $100 starting, and then work their way up. So you can start looking at just getting an APS-C size camera, and then keep your phone in your pocket and use that camera. So everything's in one piece. You don't have to worry about compatibility issues and things like that. So, all right. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the trip. So I went to Colombia. You guys all know that I've been talking about it for the last month. And what I travel with, usually I will have well, in this trip, I actually used a carry-on. I have a carry-on. It's a think tank international luggage, basically. So it's a carry-on. I could take it on the plane, and it's good. I don't use it that often though. This is the first time that I've used that since the last wedding that I shot. And that last wedding was like in August of last year, or October of last year. So I don't use it very often. And the main reason that I use it this time is because I wanted to bring all of my gear, okay? I wanted to bring all my gear, and then I also wanted to bring, this is a Think Tank Urban Disguise 40, and I wanted to bring this bag, and I wanted to bring another bag, a smaller bag, because I wanted to be able to cover all bases, okay? I wanted to be able to say, okay, I want to grab this gear for this day, and then I want to grab a smaller kit for another day, and I wanted to have a smaller bag. It's important for me to have stuff in my bag when I'm walking around and not just have it out. You're less of a target, even though this bag is kind of obvious. It looks like a messenger bag, but it's kind of obvious that that's a camera bag. So I'm not really hiding that fact, but still people don't really know what's in here. Like, they don't know unless I'm holding it, unless I have it out and I'm holding this big lens and all that. They don't really know what's in here. Okay. So, when I went there, the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to get as close as possible to the actual parade route, and so I went and I paid for a ticket, and I got into the bleacher section. Okay, now ideally I would want to be on the parade route, walking up and down. That's the ideal scenario. It didn't work. Like, I tried I even kind of played dumb tourist where I walked in and they had kind of like a crosswalk, because you have two sides. So you have the people, you have the parade route going in the middle, and then you have two sides, bleachers on one side, bleachers on the other. So they were letting people go from one side to the other, so you had to walk across the parade route. And so I kind of played dumb, like, oh, okay, what's that over there? And started walking. Oh, no, sir, you can't go that way. So they were up to it, or they were on it. Now, you did have photographers that were on the parade route, and they had their little placards, their little badges, and that allowed them to be there. I don't know how they got them. I will be looking into getting one next year. Now that I have some footage, I can actually show them, hey, these are the photos that I took last year. I have a website, a travel website, and I wanted to promote your Carnaval, right? So I will try to do it next year, try to get a press pass, but this year I wasn't prepared as well as when I got there. I kind of wasn't able to do it, but I was still able to get some really good shots. And the main thing, and when I first got out there, I didn't really know what to expect or like what to do. And I'd say probably after a couple of hours of watching people go down the parade route, I started figuring out that most people were the people in the parade route, they want to be photographed. Bottom line, they want to be photographed. And so the way that you get them to look at you is by looking at them, oddly enough, right? So they all want to be, not all, but a lot of them want to be photographed, especially the women. They want to be photographed because they have their outfits on, they're dancing, they're having a good time, and they want to be photographed. That's all I could really say. So when they're coming down the parade route, I'm standing up, and when I first started, I was standing up on the bleachers, and we'll play the little thing while I talk here, so you guys don't have to just look at me. Let's see. I'll open up some pictures here, and then there are a few pictures that I'll kind of just talk about specifically, just to kind of let's see here. Let's roll that and slideshow. Okay, so they want to be photographed, a lot of them. Okay, now these pictures I edited just a little bit, color correction, lighting. I didn't do anything as far as like I didn't put it in Photoshop or anything like that, where I start doing some skin softening and stuff like that. Now, some of these pictures I will print, and some of these pictures I will put on my website and stuff like that for professional use. When I do that, then that's when I'll go in and I'll do some more work on the images. So they want to be photographed, and they like being photographed. So what I started realizing when I was taking pictures is that if you get eye contact with them, and you try to do it early on. So if I'm standing, when I first started, I was standing in the bleachers. These shots here, I was standing at the ground level, which is ground level is even better. So I was standing in the bleachers, but I was standing on the rail. I wasn't sitting down or anything. So I was standing on the rail, and I'm shooting over the rail, right? And so as they came by, all you need to do is just get some eye contact with them. And by the end of the second day, because I shot 2 days there, by the end of the second day, I'm waving people down, like, hey, making sure they see me, right? And you do it early on. And if you could do it early on, then once they catch eye contact with you, and usually I don't have the camera up, okay? And I'll talk about the camera that I'm using and all that later, but I just want to show the demonstration. So I don't have the camera up to my eye. I'm actually looking at them. So I'm just have the camera kind of in the low ready, right? So I'm looking at them, wave at them or something like that. Then they see me, they get eye contact, and then I pull the camera up to my eye, and then I take the picture. I was using, and I love using Godox flashes, and I like how they work. And if you buy, like, let's say you buy a Sony flash, you're going to pay twice, sometimes 3 times as much as if you go with a Godox or a Flashpoint. They're both the same cameras, or same lenses, God, can I get it right? The same flashes. But these are excellent, and you can hook them all up wirelessly. Okay, so they all recognize each other. So I can have one off camera, or have two of them off camera, have this one on camera, and then trigger all the flashes at the same time. You don't need any additional adapters or anything like that. So I use these all the time. Very, very good flashes. I use them for weddings. They're excellent. So I had the flash on there as well in most of the shots. And I know you're saying, well, why are you using a flash? You're shooting during the day. It's midday, so the sun's at its highest point. Why are you using a flash? Well, you wanna fill in some of that light, okay? And I just actually saw an image that I can explain what I'm talking about here that I didn't do, and I didn't have a flash on that one. So you see this beautiful young lady here. If you, let's see if I can zoom. Yeah, let's zoom in on her. So nice picture, but the sun is coming straight from the top, right? So the sun's coming straight from the top, and you see her eyelashes here. You see these shadows. She's got raccoon eyes. That's because the light is coming straight down. Now, if I had a flash and I flashed some light into her eyes, then it would have gotten rid of this. This would have been gone. You wouldn't see this, okay? So that's what I mean about if you're shooting in the middle of the day, it's gonna be harsh light. It's not flattering for women at all, and it will give them those raccoon eyes. And so that's why you use a flash, even though it's daytime. Now, your ideal situation would be to take pictures in shade. Like that picture's in shade. If I used a flash with that, then I can pop her out of the, she's in the shade, but I can pop some light onto her, and it'll make her kind of stand out. Some of these images are probably duplicates as well, I should say that. This was in shade, but I wasn't using a flash. When I first started taking pictures, you see the shadow line here. When I first started taking pictures that first day, I wasn't using flash, and then later on I started using flash. But you can do a little bit of correction in Lightroom after the fact, where I can lighten it up just a little bit. But yeah, you want to try to have people stand out, and that's what I would do. Like if it's more of a dull picture like this one, I would just brighten it up a little bit in post if I'm using it professionally, okay? So you get that eye contact, right? And you wave at them, and then they're coming along, and then that's when I'm taking my shots, okay? And usually they will wait for you to take shots. They will come, and you'll see some of them, they're clearly posing for me. So they'll just stop in the parade route. They'll stop and pose so you can take a picture of them. Just like that picture there, she's posing. This girl she wasn't posing. Some of these are duplicates. Like I said, I put them all together. So there's probably about 200 or 300 images. Raccoon eyes again. You see the light's coming straight from the top. Interesting shots. You kind of get everything there with that shot there. This one, I love the shot, but I missed her fingers. See that? She's moving while I'm taking pictures, so it's hard. Now, if I shot that wide and then cropped it in, it would have been perfect. But in that case, I was trying to shoot it as close as possible, and it didn't really work out for me. Okay, so that was my routine. Wave at them, take the pictures. They go by, and then next people come by, and then wave and take pictures. And so after a while, I really got it down. And these are all duplicates. Where are the other ones? Hopefully there's more. I know there's more, but I'm just hoping they all come out. So that's what I was doing. Now let's talk about what I'm using. So for the majority of my shots, I was using, this is a 70-200 lens. This is a Sony, let's talk about the camera first. Sony a7R III. They have a less expensive, this is like $3,200, $3,300 for the camera, okay? They have a cheaper version or a less expensive version, the A7R or the A7 III, which is a very good camera. That was about $2,000. I think it's $2,000 or $2,400, something like that. And the lens that I'm using here, and mind you, like I said, this stuff is expensive, but this is for professional use. Like I'm using this to shoot weddings, and I need something that's reliable, and I need something over time that I can take pictures over the years. Every wedding that I shoot, take pictures, and then maybe 6 years down the road, get another camera and then kind of go like that. Okay, so if you're not shooting professionally, there's no need for you to spend all this money. If you have the money and you just want to spend it because you want to have an opportunity to get the best quality, then, or you think maybe in the future that you might want to shoot professionally, then yeah, go right ahead and spend the money. But you don't have to have it, right? The lens that I'm using, 70-200, f2.8. Okay, so I talked a little bit about like the apertures, like the lens. What are you paying for? You're paying for the aperture. So you have this same lens, not exactly the same, but you have a lens that's very similar to this, a 70-200, and it's like an f4. Okay, so f4, f2.8. What does that mean? So f2.8, that means that the aperture is a larger aperture. So that means that if the aperture is larger, when the light comes in, it will allow more light into the camera. So when I take a picture, I can use a faster shutter speed to take the picture. And you're asking, well, why is it important to have a faster shutter speed? Why would you need that? Well, if I'm taking pictures of people dancing down the parade route and I want to get them sharp, meaning like there's no blur, and you'll see some of the shots I actually had some motion blur where I was still shooting like 400th of a second, but you see the motion blur in her hand right there. You're still getting some motion blur of her because I wasn't able to really completely freeze the shot. I don't know why this thing keeps repeating all these. Maybe it's on random or something. So you want that fast shutter speed when you're shooting people who are moving, when you're shooting race cars, you're shooting horses, you're shooting anything that's in motion. You want to be able to freeze it if you can, if that's the shot that you're going for. Now, also if you're moving, and my focus is always on their eyes. So if they're moving, and I take a picture and it's not fast enough, the shutter speed is not fast enough, then it's gonna blur their face. Their eyes are gonna be blurry. It's not gonna look right. So that's the deal with that. Okay, and then also the bokeh. You see let me go back to that shot there, and the bokeh here, the background. You see this background, how it's all blurry, right? You can't really make out. I mean, you can make this guy out, but here you can't really see what's going on. You see it's people, but it's really, really blurry. So an f2.8 or lower, and the way you look at it this way, the higher the f-stop, so f2.8, f4, it's gonna be a little sharper in the background. You're not gonna have much blur in the background. Then you go to f5.6, it's gonna be even sharper, so you're gonna have even less blur. And then you go up to f6 point, what is it? Oh no, I just lost my thing. 5.6, what is it? F8, so you get f8, then it's even sharper. Okay, and then you go up to f11, it's sharp. So what I'm saying is, most cameras, you can tell the quality of the lens by looking at the bokeh in the background. I can isolate with this. It's f2.8. I can isolate a subject, so I'm isolating this gorilla, this guy in the gorilla mask, and so you see him, he's sharp, and then everything else is blurry around him. Okay, so it's easy for a viewer to know that's the subject. That's what we should be focused on, because that's the only thing that we can see. There are no distractions because everything in the background is out of focus, so people they can't focus on it. Right? It's just like when you're looking at something with the naked eye. When I'm looking at something, I can focus on whatever that is, but I can't focus on what's around it because it's blurry. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're trying to do with the shot. When you're trying to isolate, and isolating will allow you to really tell a story. Okay, even in this shot here, I can isolate. You can see she's blurry. You can see you can see her, but she's a little blurry. So you automatically go to what's in focus, right? And so that's what you're trying to do here. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep playing this. Now, you have lenses that are even faster than f2.8. And when I say faster, I mean lenses where the f-stop can open up even wider. So you have f1.8. Okay, I was talking about the Nifty 50 earlier. So it's a very inexpensive lens, but a very good lens. I actually have, this is not one of them, but a 50 millimeter lens. This is a 50 millimeter lens, but this is a macro lens. So this is f2.8. Okay, when I say macro, I mean we've all seen the shots where you take pictures of like bugs up close, or you take pictures of like your food and you can get really, really close to it. That's what this lens is for. But a 50 millimeter would be like this. So if you compare the size, this is 50 millimeter, this is 70 to 200, right? So when I say 70 to 200, that's 70 millimeters out to 200 millimeters. This is a 50 millimeter, okay? So if you get like a nifty 50, that's a 1.8, the aperture is even wider. It lets more light in. So that means if I'm indoors, I want to take pictures indoors, I can do that and drop it all the way down to f1.8, and I don't need, in most cases, I wouldn't need a flash. Like I can open it up indoors and still get some pretty good shots. Natural light, you'll see, like what you see with the naked eye is what you can reproduce with the f1.8. Not in all cases, but I'm just giving you kind of an example. And then you can drop down to 1.4. So you have 50 millimeter 1.4 lenses, you have 85 millimeter 1.4 lenses, you have 24 millimeter f1.4, and then you can even drop down to 1.2. And you drop down 1.2, and the aperture is just huge. And that thing is, those lenses are amazing. So that's like 85 millimeter 1.2. Canon has one of those lenses, and that's a good lens. Okay. And that you can pretty much, you don't need a flash. You really don't. In most situations, you don't need a flash. Now, would I still use a flash? Yeah, I would. If I'm indoors, it's low light, I can open it up to 1.8, really isolate that subject. And when I isolate that subject, I'm isolating pretty much their eye. And even their face is gonna fall off. So even their face is gonna be blurry. Their nose will be blurry, but their eye will be in focus. That's what my ultimate goal is. Okay, so let's see. So this is what I use pretty much for the whole parade. There were times where I went to the 50 millimeter if I needed just a little bit more. I wanted to capture a little bit more in the frame, because this will give me a little bit more in the frame, because this only goes to 70 millimeters at the very wide end. So the wide end 70 millimeter. If I want a little bit more, I can use this. I also had a 14 millimeter, I think it's 14 millimeter, a 14 millimeter lens, which is super wide. I didn't use that at all, but that's super wide, mainly for landscapes and things like that. Not really good for a parade, only because you're going to capture everything. And when I say capture everything, it's just going to be a wide shot. You're not going to be able to really focus on any one individual. Yeah, I don't know why this thing just keeps repeating all these pictures. They're all on here, but for whatever reason, it's repeating a lot. So another thing that I look for when I'm taking pictures too, like on the parade route, and if you guys have any questions about the camera, just hit me up in the chat, and we'll talk about that once I start looking at some of the questions. So if you have any questions about the lens selection or the camera. So another thing that I'm focused on, let's see if I see any of these pictures here, but I also like to kind of do like clamshell, they call it like clamshell lighting, where you have the subject. So the subject is here. I use a flash, kind of a fill flash, and then she has light coming from either the sun or something from behind her, or from behind him. And that will give you a nice rim light on the person. It separates them from the background. So it usually looks pretty good. And I don't know if even like this, a little bit here, you see the sun's coming down and it's kind of giving her that rim light. And this is just a little example of it. Now, if I popped a little bit more flash on her face, it would have looked better. Like if she was more well lit here, I can always bring that back just a little bit with Photoshop. Another good thing about getting a lens or a camera that has a big sensor is that you have more information. Remember we talked about the information, so you have those small little sensors on your iPhone. You'll have a 24 megapixel image, but you have the information that's 24 megapixels are the small sensors, right? Whereas you have a larger sensor, you have 24 megapixels that has more information in there. So that more information, when I start brightening things and darkening things, or not really darkening, but when I start brightening things, I can hold a lot of that information in there. So it doesn't get all pixelated. It doesn't look all noisy. And when I say noisy, noise is like if you guys have ever, we're in a time now where we don't really look at newspapers anymore, but you look at a newspaper and you see it's like kind of grainy. The pictures aren't like a picture that you would get if you go and you actually have a picture in your hand. It's different. Like a Kodak picture is different than a picture that you would get on in a magazine. So yeah, I would lighten her up just a little bit, but that rim light is what I'm looking for as well. Okay, and this can all now this is on the run, right? So this is all pretty much a run and gun shoot. So I don't have time to like pose her and say, okay, hey, stand here. I'm gonna have a flash off to your right, and it's gonna bounce over your shoulder, and then I'm gonna have another flash set here off camera. You don't have time to do that. You're just shooting these people as they come through. So I'm constantly looking at the light and making sure that, like, is she in all shadow, or if she's not, then trying to move around to where I can get what I want. Okay. And let's face it, sometimes you just get lucky. And see, she has like rim light on her, so that's pretty good. I would brighten her up a little bit more if I'm going to use that professionally. But yeah, it's a struggle. See raccoon eyes here. This is bright daylight. There's not much you can do with that. Let's see. I don't know why this, and like the hair light here, so that rim light is good. That's what I was looking for. So just different things like that. Now this stuff is just all repeating. So we'll just let it keep running. I don't really get it. Now I'm also looking for interesting things, right? So expressions. I want to tell a story with the shot. You're not always able to tell a story with the shot, but fortunately, with especially the women that were on the parade route, like this shot, I love this shot. It tells a story. I really like that shot too. That's why I use that as a profile. It's just a good shot. But I want something that tells a story, right? And so that's what I'm focused on. And I want them to do something interesting. Like, that's interesting to me. Something interesting that really, really makes the shot, where you look at it. And I was told, like, because I entered my photos in competition, and one of the things, you can always go, in most cases, you can go and you can sit. So, like, I'll go to a convention, like the WPPI I go to every year. However, I didn't go this year because I went to Carnaval. But you go there, and you can sit and watch them judge your pictures. They don't know who the picture is, or who took the picture or anything like that, so they're just talking. But you can go there and listen. And one of the things they always say is they want, we know you can take a picture, right? You're professional. We know you can take a picture. We expect that, but we want something that you look at and you kind of say, "Ooh, what's going on there?" Or like, "Wow." That's what they want. They want the wow factor. So they want something a little different. They don't want something that's just a good picture, like a well-exposed image. They want something that is unique. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna flip forward. It's bugging me that I keep looking at these pictures and they're the same ones. Okay, let's see. And I know I put more pictures in there, so let's find out what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, see, I think it's just random. Or maybe I don't have as many as I thought I did. Okay. We'll just keep playing them. It doesn't look like I have as many in there as I thought I did. So, yeah, I do want to open this up though. So like this picture, dark, right? And I would lighten it. I would do some Photoshop here and just make the picture more. It's an interesting shot. I need to enhance that picture. Matter of fact, I don't even think that was, yeah, that wasn't even edited at all. So this, they're pretty much the same. Okay, so I would brighten it a lot more and just make it a more interesting. It's an interesting shot already. It's a good shot, but I would just open it up a little bit, and then I could use that for like a print or something more professional. So that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I look for generally. I don't remember seeing any of these. So other things, other takeaways, I don't really know. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions or anything like that? Let's see. Yeah, let's keep this going over here. All right, I'm going to look at some of the stuff in the chat here, and then we will talk a little bit about. Let me see. Did you get into? How did you get into photography? So that's David asking that. I actually was shooting video like for work, and just kind of like on the side, just something to do. And then from there, then I spun off into photography. I bought a camera, DSLR, because I wanted to shoot more video, but I bought a camera because that was kind of a time, there was a time period where the Canon 5D came out and it was shooting really great video. So I didn't get the 5D, I actually got the 7D. And because I wanted, in my head, I was thinking, hey, you know what, it'd be kind of cool to take pictures too. Now, Canon 5D takes great pictures, but the Canon 7D, at the time, it was a little faster. Like it was 7 or I think 8 frames per second. So it's better for sports and things like that. So I was, in the back of my head, I was thinking, yeah, you know what, it would be cool to take some pictures. So I got that camera because I could still shoot video with it. And then once I got that camera, I started taking pictures, and I fell in love. So that was like 10 years, 2010 is when it happened, or when that happened. And so from that point on, I just kind of started out slow, taking pictures here and there, doing the family portraits and all that stuff. And then I graduated into being like a second shooter, where I'm going to weddings and taking pictures as a second shooter. So you're helping out, you're like helping out the main photographer. And then I start booking my own gigs. Once you have some pictures to show, then you put them out there, and people want you to shoot weddings. So then I started shooting weddings, and all along I've always like done landscape photography. Like that was kind of landscape photography. I'm not going to say it's not easy. It's actually hard. I would say it's harder in many aspects, but it's forgiving. A wedding, you have one shot. You got to get it, right? For landscape photography, you can go out there. I can go out to the same spot every day and just keep taking pictures until I get something that I like. And so that's what I liked about it. It allowed me to learn how to take pictures, how to get the correct exposure and all that. And so that's initially, like, even before I was shooting, like when I first got the camera, I would take it out, go out, because I live not that close to the beach, but like 20 minutes away. So I would go out to the beach, take pictures. And for like my friends on Facebook, I would not bombard them, but every day I was doing like a photo of the day. So I put a picture up every day, a new picture. And so I was doing that. I was doing a lot of landscape pictures and just going out, take a picture, come home, edit the picture, and put it on Facebook. And so I did that for a while. And then all along that time, and then I started kind of jumping into the family portraits and the weddings and all that. So I've always enjoyed doing the landscape photos. And so now, once I got to a point, and it's kind of funny how you start evolving, but I would drive to the beach, take pictures there. Then I say, oh, I want to drive to this park. So I drive to that park and take pictures. And so my little, you start with that little circle around where you live, and then that circle gets a little bit bigger, and then the circle gets a little bit bigger. And then it gets to the point where I'm driving like an hour away to go take a picture at sunset. And then it got to the point where it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then when we start getting to that point, I'm like, well, I'm going to need to stay there for the night. I'm not going to drive 2 hours, stay there and take pictures for 15 minutes and then come back home. And so I started doing that. So I started staying at hotels. And that's what kind of got me into the whole, hey, you know what? I want to travel. I want to travel and take pictures. And so then I traveled to a couple of places. Puerto Rico was one. I went to Yosemite, and I loved it. I love going out there taking pictures, but the only problem was it's very expensive. Even to go to Yosemite, and I live in California, drive up to Yosemite, it was, 4 hours away, and the hotel was like $200 and something a night, and luckily it was me and a buddy that went, so we split that cost, but still a lot of money. Like, and the accommodations were not nice. They weren't nice at all, but it was Yosemite. So after that, and then after going to Puerto Rico, when I went to Puerto Rico, I was really like, this is crazy as far as how much it costs. And so that's when I started looking into travel credit cards. And so that was up to 3 years ago. I started looking into travel credit cards, and then I jumped into, okay, this is the way I'm going to have to start figuring this stuff out. And then once I started getting the points, and then I was able to travel to all these different places, then that's when that was an eye opener for me, because it was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I can go out and do travel photography and do it on a budget and get great pictures, bring those pictures back, sell some prints, and all that. So that's how that all evolved. Okay, guy, you know about the hilarious, you consistently make me laugh on Facebook group. Okay, let's see here. I think that's great to hear. Anytime do you see? I'm jealous of your camera setup. So David saying I'm jealous of my camera setup. He's got the top-notch lenses and cameras. I don't have the top-notch lenses now. I have the one that's 70 to 200. There are a few other lenses that I got in mind I need to get. But 70 to 200 is an absolute, like, if you're interested in taking really good images, like if you're interested in a good lens to get that you're going to have for years and years to come, 70 to 200. I don't care if it's Canon, Nikon, Sony, 70 to 200, f2.8. They isolate, just like this picture right here. I can isolate her. The background is just butter, it's just blurry. That's exactly what you want in a shot. So that lens, in itself, that lens can really, really help your photography. And mainly because of the isolation. So, yeah, but there are some other lenses that I do have my eye on that I want to get, definitely that I want to get, and that I will get actually. Let's see. But for that gig, yeah, and I do have I have a couple of other lenses that I use, but for the Carnival, 70 to 200 that was a perfect lens. The only problem that I had is if you get too close. So if they're about 5 feet away from me, then I'm gonna lose a lot. I'm not gonna get a lot if they're standing right in front of me, and I can't really back up because I'm at 70. I pulled it all the way back to 70, so that's the widest that I can get. If they're standing like right in front of me, I'm gonna miss some of them, like their hands or whatever. Because a lot of the women, they like to do like something. They didn't just stand there. A lot of them had like a pose or something, and so when they did the pose, then it was hands off the screen and that stuff. And there are some images that I just didn't even bother with because they were completely cut off. Like this bothers me that her hand is cut off, that their hand is cut off. That would have been a great shot if I would have been able to get that in there. So, but I was limited. I couldn't back out any further because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take 3 or 4 different shots. I'll do one's a wide shot, one's waist up, and then one is zoomed in even closer, as close as I can get. So. Yeah, let's see. Anything else, guys? Let's see. Showroom there. Okay, let me, let's see here. So Facebook group. If you guys have not done so, please jump into the Facebook group. And we are talking about travel stuff there. So anything travel related, that's what we're going to be talking about. So jump in the group. Join the group, and we'll accept you. We're really trying to get the group, more the merrier, more people in there, the more expertise we can have from a variety of different angles. Mainly, what I really like about travel groups is the fact that we all travel to different places, and we can help each other out when it comes to, okay, I've never been to Italy. Who's been to Italy? Oh, I've been to Italy. I stayed here. I went here. I did this. I ate here. That kind of stuff. Colombia, you guys all know I go to Colombia a lot. So if someone's interested in going to Colombia, I'm going to Colombia in a couple of weeks. I can kind of give them the rundown of Colombia. So that's what that's what I mean by expertise, and the more people in there, the more destinations people will have information about. Let's see, Jeremy TC, I'd love to go to Yosemite soon. Yeah, that guy, Yosemite that's an amazing place. I want to go back. I haven't set up a trip yet, but yeah, it's an amazing place just to go there and just see nature like that. And I hiked. I mean, I'm not big on hiking, but we were hiking through the woods, and yeah, it was fun. And just some of the scenery there, it's just amazing. All you need to do is take your camera out. You can have your phone, whatever, and you can get some really good pictures. There, we went to like Mirror Lake, which we didn't realize you had to hike up to Mirror Lake. It was like 2 hours away, and yeah, we did some stuff out there. It was fun. That's the one lens I don't have for Sony. So you have Sony too, that guy? Yeah. So that 7200, yeah, it's a good lens to get. And I knew already because I don't even know if I didn't talk about it today, but I used to shoot Canon. I shot Canon up until last year, January. I switched over from Canon to Sony, and I completely switched over because I already had a few Sony cameras prior, but they were the APS-C size sensor, so I didn't have the full frame. I had full frame Canon, so I had the Canon 5D Mark III. That was my main body that I used for weddings. Then I had a backup. I had the Canon. I had two backups: the Canon 60D and the Canon 7D. And so I wanted to stay with Canon. I really did, but I had to make a tough decision, and that decision was Canon had the Canon 5D Mark IV. Technology on that camera wasn't very good, and then now you have these mirrorless cameras that are coming out, and they have the eye autofocus, which is just a game changer when it comes to photography. And what that is you can just and I use a back button to focus, but you can hit your focus, and you can tell it to focus on just the eye. So it's not focusing like with a mirrorless camera, or let's talk about DSLRs first. So with the DSLR camera, you have a mirror in there. So when I'm looking through the mirror, I'm actually looking directly through the lens. Okay, so I'm looking directly through the lens. With this, I'm not looking directly through the lens. I'm actually looking through a sensor, and that sensor readout is what the lens sees. Okay, so it's just like your phone. When you hold your phone up, you turn your phone on, you hold your phone up, you're looking through a sensor that's, it's a picture, right? But it's not the actual lens, if that makes sense. It's not the glass. You're looking through like a picture, a picture on your phone, right? So when you hit to take the picture, what you see is what comes out, right? That's what the camera, that's what the sensor sees. So that's what comes out. Now with a DSLR, you're looking directly through. So when I'm looking directly through, I'm limited in what I can do. Like they'll put like a overlay over the lens, so I can see like a little point. So if I hold it down, it'll beep, and then I'll know, okay, I'm in focus. But with these cameras, since it's all electronic, I'm looking through a viewfinder that's electronic. It's all electronic, so it will actually put a little dot on their eye, like a little square on their eye, and as they move, that square will move with their eye. And I'm telling you that it's amazing, because I don't have to be that close to a subject, and I can just hold it down, and it's going to focus on her eye. And as she's dancing and moving around, it's still focusing on her eye. And I'm just taking pictures, and I don't have to worry about, like, one of the big things they talk about in photography is recomposing. So let's say you're trying to track someone, you're trying to get their eye. Well, I can use a joystick. If it's a DSLR, I can use a joystick and kind of move it around, but I have to be fast, move it around as I'm taking the picture. But with this, I don't have to move a joystick around at all. I just hit the eye autofocus, and it's just going to track her eye. And as she moves around, it's going to track her. Even if she turns her head away and then comes back, like if she turns her head away, yeah, it's not going to focus on her eye. But then if she turns back, it's going to catch her eye again. So I'm telling you that's That's one of the things. When I got the Sony camera and I started seeing that, I was just like, I made the right choice, because this is amazing. As well as, like I said, what you're seeing in the lens is what you're going to get, or what you're seeing in the camera is what you're going to get. So when I'm looking through that viewfinder, I know if it's the correct exposure, because it's showing me the actual picture that's going to come out. So that's good. Let's see. Work days. Yep, I got the Sony cams for video. Oh, okay. Dust on the sensor is my worst issue. Yeah, and because it's a mirrorless sensor, or a mirrorless camera, you don't have any protection at all. Like, so when I take I won't take it off here, but when you take the lens off, you just have the sensor exposed. You don't have a mirror in front of it, because what that mirror does is it drops down. So the mirror drops down and it shoots a reflection through the lens. But when I hit the shutter, the lens flips up and it exposes the sensor. That's a DSLR, right? So a mirrorless camera, you don't have that mirror at all. You just have the lens. I guess I can show you. I need to get it cleaned anyway. So usually I get it cleaned every year. I go to the WPPI, but I didn't go this year, so they do free cleaning. So this is a sensor I'm talking. Oh, you guys can't see it. Never mind. Hold on. Let me switch that screen. Get a little better view here. Okay, so this is a sensor here, and that's what I'm talking about. If you could see, there you go. So there's no mirror or anything in front of it. That's the sensor that's exposed. Okay, it's not advised to do that, especially if you're near water, sand, all that good stuff, dust. You wanna, and when you change your lens, and this goes for all cameras that have lenses that are interchangeable, always do it down. So like hold it like this, and this is one of the things I had to get used to. Canon has the release on the outside. Sony has the release on the inside here, which you probably can't even see it, but there's a release there, a little release mechanism. So you want to hold it down and take it off when it's down. So when I take it off, it's down like that, just so I won't get any. I mean, you're still going to probably get some little particles in there, but if you have it up and you're taking it off, you're going to get a lot more particles in there. So you want to try to protect that. It's not the end of the world if you get dust in your lens or in your sensor. You can have them cleaned. You can take it to most camera shops will have cleaning. They'll do it. With Sony, another really good thing about Sony that I like. Now, some people do have issues with their customer service, but with Sony, their customer service has been fine. I haven't had any issues with them. But when you go to these conventions, they always do free lens cleaning. Or I keep saying lens. They always do free sensor cleaning. So you can take it in there and they will clean the sensor for you for free. Whereas you have Canon, you have Nikon, you have to be like a Canon ambassador, or Nikon, whatever. Like you have to have the pro support. You have to pay for it. It's usually like $500 a year or something like that. So you pay for the pro support, and then they will do the lens cleaning. And so that's kind of the way they have it set up. Where Sony, they'll do it for free. Like they'll just do it because you have their cameras. And even when I went to like WPPI, I keep saying WPPI. So for those of you who don't know, it's the Wedding and Portrait Professional International or something like that. So it's basically the focus is weddings and portrait photographers. Every year they all meet up, or we all meet up in Vegas, and it's one big party. It's fun. It's a good event. And I've gone the last 3 years. This year I did not go, but I highly recommend, if you guys are interested in like taking photography to the next level, like professionally, go. They have some really good information there. And if you're a member, to be a member of WPPI, it's like a $200 or something like that. And you're a member for 1 year. You get certain benefits for being a member, but you also get the opportunity to go to this event, and you don't have to pay anything for the event. And they have classes and things like that. This year I couldn't go. I wanted to go to Carnival, and it fell right before Carnival. So I was already planning to take 9 days off from work to go to Carnival, so I didn't want to take any more time. That's why I didn't go. And WPPI is great, but the only thing that I saw in the last 3 years that I went is every year is pretty much the classes that you go to every year is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, there wasn't really anything extra that I was getting from the classes going to the regular classes. Now you can pay to go to classes. They have other classes you can pay for where you can get a little bit more. But a lot of the regular classes that they didn't have much, they didn't offer much. So that is that. Let's see. TC, when you use the Godox flash, does the viewfinder exposure change when you turn on the flash on and off? Yes, it does. So that guy's asking about, so when I use a flash, and this is weird, I had to kind of get used to this because I didn't know that the camera did this. But if I have this hooked up to my camera, so the flash is hooked up to the camera, just hooking it up and turning it on, it will give me kind of it will give me some type of an indication that the shot will be a little bit brighter. What I mean is when you look through this viewfinder, like I said, this is what you see is what you get. So if I'm looking through this, it should show me how bright it is or what. You know, it'll show me if the shot is not bright enough, it'll show me that. Now, when I put the flash on, so like I'm gonna use a flash usually if it's too dark, right? So if I'm looking through here and it's dark, and let's just say I look through here, it's dark, it's just the regular way it's set up, and then I put the flash on top, it's gonna brighten this picture to try to compensate for what the flash is gonna do. It's artificial, so it's not like a true, it's not exactly the way it's gonna look, but it will give you some type of indicator. So Godox does do that. You do have to worry sometimes when you get third party. This is a third party. Godox is not. They're not affiliated with Sony in any way. They just make third party flashes for Sony. But yeah, it will give me that indicator, so I do know that the flash exposure it'll change a little bit. Let's see, the down camera change. Lens trick is definitely a good tip for everyone. Yes, definitely. You wanna make sure you keep that sensor clean. You can get it cleaned your own, but you try to keep it clean. It doesn't. Having those good habits are good because it just avoids you having to get it cleaned all the time. And it was funny. We got a camera at work. They were using the camera at work. And they went out and got a DSLR. They actually asked me, which I thought was funny, like, what camera should we get and this and that. So I told them to get Canon. And the reason that I told them to get Canon, this is after, I mean, they just got the camera probably 6 months ago. So I already had the Sony. I love the Sony. The only problem with getting a Sony camera over getting a Canon and this is my opinion, but for most people who they're not really familiar with cameras, DSLR cameras, Canon is probably the way to go because they're easier to use. Sony is a little harder. The menu system is a little ridiculous, and so it's a little harder to use. So if you have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to cameras and stuff like that, then you're probably better off with like a Sony because of the technology. But Canons are easy to use, and Canons are everywhere. You go to any store, I can go to Best Buy, I can get stuff for my Canon. I can get stuff now for Sony. You know, more and more you're able to get more and more stuff. But Canon is they've kind of dominated the market when it comes to DSLR, so you're always able to get stuff for them, get the cameras fixed pretty much at any camera shop and things like that. So that's why I told them to get the Canon. But it was funny because they kept taking the lens off and putting on, like, you can take the lens off and then put on just a little cover for the camera, so the camera doesn't have anything on it. It doesn't have a lens on it at all. So I would notice that every time they would use it, they would take the lens off, put the little cover on there, and put the camera in the bag. And so after a couple weeks of this, I was telling them, like, I started telling them, hey, just leave the lens on there. There's no reason to keep taking the lens off because you're just adding dust to the sensor. So leave that lens on there. There's no harm in having the lenses stay on there. And then if you need to use the, because they had 2 lenses, so if you need to use the other lens, you can take it off and put the other lens on there, and then leave that lens on there until you need to use the other lens, take it off. So don't keep taking it off thinking you're doing the camera a favor. Take the lens off and put the little cover on there and not have any lens on there. You don't need to do that. So yeah, after a while then they figured out, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because you don't want to have to be in the shop getting your lens cleaned, and you don't want to be in a situation where something happens to your sensor, because if you damage that sensor, camera's done. Can't do anything with it. Oh, okay. It scared me. Every time my phone rings, I jump. I don't know why. Okay, so let's see. Have any other questions here? I buy sensor cleaning swabs and clean my own every week. That's good, that guy. I don't recommend that for like people just getting started out. I personally don't do it either. But there are some people who like to clean their own sensors. I've done it once, and that was with my Canon. I cleaned one of the sensors. I think it was a 60D. I cleaned that sensor. But yeah, I just take it. I just take it to get it cleaned. And I'm kind of bad with it too. I wait until I actually see, because you can, if you raise your aperture, raise it up to like f16, and you take it out and take a picture of the sky, then you can see all the dust and stuff that's on your sensor. And then when I see that, then I'll take it in and get it fixed. So right now, like I noticed, I took some pictures. It wasn't at Carnival. I took some real estate pictures a couple weeks ago, and I noticed, yeah, it was there's some dust in there, because when I take real estate photos, I raise that aperture up to like f11, and I shoot there because I want to try to get as much stuff in focus as possible. And so yeah, after that I could see, yeah, there's some dust in there. You could see it in the lights when you're taking pictures. So okay, that guy, Canon EOS MR mirrorless has a sensor protector. Yes, it does. You know, that's funny because, and that guy's just saying that the EOS R, the new, it's still new, the new release mirrorless camera that they released, Canon, because now everyone's jumping on the whole mirrorless camera. I won't say bandwagon, but they're jumping into that market now. Seriously jumping into the market. Canon's had some mirrorless cameras in the past, and the M50 is not a bad camera, as well as they had before that. They had the I think it was just the Canon M1 or something. I don't know. I actually bought the first one that they put out, but the only problem is they didn't have very many lenses for it, and they never really expanded that lens series. So, or lens series, or they didn't expand with the lenses with that camera. But now they're taking them very seriously, and now they have professional in what they consider professional in mirrorless cameras. So you have like the Sony A7R III, the Sony full frame system, mirrorless systems. That's the professional in. Canon has the EOS R, that's their professional in. Nikon has the Nikon Z1 or whatever they have. That's their professional in. So they're now all really getting serious about mirrorless cameras. But the Canon, yeah, it has like a sensor protector, which is kind of cool. It drops down and covers the sensor. So when you're taking off lenses and stuff like that, it will protect the sensor, so dust won't get in there, and you won't have any problems of, well, it could still get damaged, but there is a cover over it to help it from getting damaged. Okay, down camera changed. Let's see. Yeah, cleaning not recommended for everyone who's not used to it. Yeah, I would recommend getting it cleaned. If you're gonna try to clean it on your own, wait until you've had the camera for a while, and then, yeah, you got to be careful with that because you can mess up. If you mess up the sensor, the camera's done. So you don't want to get too you don't want to get too crazy with that and ruin your camera. So, and it's really not worth it. It's not very expensive to have your sensor cleaned. It really isn't. So it's okay. It's okay to just go get it cleaned. All right, and like I said, go to conventions. Depending on what camera you have. If you do have Sonys, if you go to their conventions, they have conventions. Not all over, but LA has a convention. Las Vegas has a convention. New York has a convention. Germany, Photokina is like the biggest convention that's out there. So they have these conventions, and they pretty much just go from convention to convention. So Sony will be there, and they will, in most situations, they'll do like sensor cleanings. Another thing I liked about Sony, and this is before I bought Sony, so I was still like professionally, like I still, and I keep saying professionally because I've had the other Sony cameras. So at that time, I had like I had the Sony A5100, and I was still shooting Canon professionally. And so I went to WPPI the first year that I went to WPPI, and they would do events, and all you needed to do, like Sony would put on an event, and all you needed to do is show that you had a Sony camera. And so any camera, any Sony camera. And so I would show my camera, and like a girl came with me. Not to the convention, but we met there and we were hanging out, and we're like, hey, they have a happy hour that's going on. It's Sony, it's putting on free alcohol, food, all that. You just need to show a Sony camera. So I had my Sony, the A5100, so it's a smaller camera. The camera's like $400. And then I gave her there's a little action camera that I have, the Sony X3000. And yeah, they let us in. We got free alcohol, free food. It was like a 2-hour like happy hour thing. So they would do a lot of different little events and stuff, and all you needed to do was show them a camera. Whereas Canon, they weren't doing anything like that. Like they would have events, but their events were, well, I should take that back. Canon actually put on the event for one of the clubs. So yeah, that was a big event. I got to take that back now, because they basically bought out the club. And we're talking Vegas, and we were it was the Mandalay Bay. Don't know the name, but the big club at Mandalay Bay, whatever the name of that place is. They bought that out for like 3 hours, and so we got there. We had free alcohol and free entry, so they bought the whole place out. So yeah, that's Canon money compared to Sony money. Which now, I don't know. Canon's still up there, but Sony is definitely catching up to them. Okay, can you talk about how you saw your images online and print and how? Okay, so let's see. Expect travelers who want to try it out. Okay, so selling prints. I will tell you, selling prints is very hard, very hard. If you're selling online. Now, if you do, like, and I haven't done this yet, but like do the shows, like the art shows and stuff like that, it might be a little bit easier to sell because people can see it, they can feel it, they know exactly what it looks like. But when you're selling online, it is pretty difficult because people can't see it. And I started out, and like I'm actually going to change the way that I'm selling now, where I'm going to start selling I'm going to start selling everything. Right now, I'm just selling prints. So I'm selling the print that's matted. Okay, so I don't have any around, but yeah, I sell the print that's matted, and it's 11 by 14. I'm gonna grab a print because actually he doesn't know what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, so I sell the prints that are matted like this, and I have a mat cutter. Before I didn't, now I do, and so I can make cuts that are not. You see the bottom here is, I think this is 2 inches, and then this is like 1 inch on each side, and it's a double mat. So you have the mat on the inside and then the mat on the outside. So this is how I sell them now. So this is 11 by 14, and then you have the cutout on the inside. It's not exactly 8 by 10. It's a little bit off. But that's how I sell them. And then I put them in an envelope like this, and then I mail them out. Now, I sell them mainly on Amazon. That's what I was doing. So Amazon FBA, Amazon has a program. It's called Handmade, and it's similar to like Etsy, similar to that, where you can sell like your artwork, and you can sell just things that you produce, just like Etsy would do. And so it is hard though. And my most successful prints are the prints that I took in Paris. I took a couple of, or I sell a couple of prints from Paris. Those are probably the most common ones that are bought. This one sells okay. This was taken in Kauai, and it's underneath the pier. It's the Hanalei Pier. And this one actually, this is an award winner. This one won me an award at WPPI. And it was one of those prints that this was the first print that I ever entered in a competition at WPPI, and it did really well. And it could have even done better. That's one of the frustrating things about going and listening to it. First off, it's nerve-wracking when you sit there and you're listening to them critique your images. But they were critiquing the image, and it's like, oh, this is a great image, and this and that. But they knocked it off because, and you can't really, it's hard to see here. Let's see. This side. Yeah, this side right here. So on this side right here, the exposure is a little overblown. It's a little more than the other side. They were very, very critical of that. But they said if I would have dropped that, because I could have fixed this. This is not something that, it wasn't completely blown out to where the image was where I couldn't fix it. I could have fixed that. And so they really focused on that. And that's how detailed they get. They'll get into it like, okay, you know what? It's just too bright. It's a little too bright, and it just throws me off. So now instead of looking down this long pier, underneath the pier, I'm kind of focused on this distraction. That's what they say. And so yeah, they graded it down for that. Now, one of the tricks that they teach you is if you turn a picture upside down and you look at that picture, you can probably pick up on some of the stuff that's a distraction. Because when we're looking at it the normal way, we're really kind of focused on the picture. But when you flip it upside down, then you start focusing on just things that you're not really focused on what the picture is saying to you, like what the picture looks like. You're focusing on all the little different things that are around the picture. So I do that. I do the Amazon FBA. I actually send my stuff to Amazon and have it warehoused there. But like I said, the hardest part, because what you have to do is you have to do a lot of marketing. And recently I haven't really been doing that much marketing when it comes to my images. I've been focused on this channel and focused on some other stuff. But you have to market it. You have to get it out there. You have to put out ads and things like that in order to get people over there looking at your images. And it is hard. It's hard to sell prints because people don't physically see. They can't physically see it, and that's what they're going to want. Another thing too, and what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start framing them. Like now, I sell them just like this. So I just sell this. And in the future, in the near future, I'm just going to start framing my images, putting them in a frame so they're ready to go. So when someone purchases it, they don't have to worry about, okay, what size frame do I get and all this. They can just hang it up on the wall as soon as they get it. So I'm going to start doing that, and hopefully that will help my sales as well. But that's what I do. So I'll travel to different destinations, and my goal is every place that I travel to, I want to get at least one keeper, one good shot that I can print and sell. So that's kind of my goal on every trip that I take. And I've been doing pretty good. This last trip, this might be a little difficult just because I was at Carnival and that's all I was taking pictures of was Carnival. So I might put out a print or two from Carnival and just see how they do. Just put it on Amazon, put a couple of prints out there and see if they sell, if they do anything as far as sales. If you guys are in here right now, please hit the like button so we can get some more people in here to join the party. Yeah, so that's what I do. Let's see, is there anything else as far as Amazon FBA? Yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't have to send your prints to the warehouse. You can actually keep them. And like you see here, I do have, if I send it to Amazon FBA, I usually don't put it in this this envelope here. Usually I will put it in a different envelope, and then Amazon, because Amazon's going to pack it. Like I send them all to Amazon, then Amazon will individually pack them when they sell. But if I'm selling just to like people on my own, which I do on occasion, because I'll have people hit me up and ask for prints, and so I can just sell it to them directly. So I do that as well. But as far as the printing now, and I think that was asked too, right? I can't find your prints. How do I find them? Okay, I'll post a link. I'll post a link. That guy. So another thing that I do is I was doing my own prints. I was printing these. Like I have 2 printers, but it's way too expensive. It really is. It's nice. It's nice to print your own prints because it's kind of that satisfaction. You get there, you edit it, and then you can print it right away. It's instant gratification, but it gets very expensive, and the printers that I have aren't the quality that I want in an image, or as far as the image quality. I have the the Canon Vixia Pro 100 and then the Vixia Pro 10 or something like that. Great. They're good, or not great. They're good, but they're not great. And I would need to step up to the next level where they have it's like $1,000 Canon printer. That's a good printer, but you have to buy that ink. And so I got to the point where I started thinking, okay, I'm really spending more money than if I send it off to the lab. And when I say send it off, I'm talking legit labs. Like I'll do Bay Photo. So Bay Photo is online. They'll print your work for you, and they're generally pretty good, and they can print it on some real high quality paper. And so that's what I was concerned with. So they print it on high quality paper, and then I'll get the prints, and then I will mat the prints myself. I have the mat cutter, so I'll cut it out, mat it myself, and then now I'm going to be putting it in frames, and then selling it that way. It's just it's a better deal, I think, just to have it all in one. As opposed to the way I've been selling it. Let me find my little. Let's find my my website here. So give me 1 second here. And yeah, now please, you guys, please hit the like button if you can, so we can get more people in. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just let me know, and we will. We'll address those right now. Let me see. I think I can. Okay. Yeah. And I do need to start marketing more when it comes to my prints. But it's a job in itself. Like just to even though it's on the most popular. Oh God, that's not right. On the most popular platform for selling stuff, you still need to advertise because you have a lot of other people selling stuff. So your stuff will get lost if you don't market it. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So. I'm just trying to find the link here. Okay, so here's the link, and that'll just take you there to my page. And this is the only way that I've been selling them. Like I haven't done the, oh God, it says error. What is that error? Let's see. Maybe if I just do. Just give me a second, guys. I can't do two things at once, so it's hard for me to talk and focus at the same time. Let's see if that one takes you there. Okay, yeah, that takes you there. All right, so yeah, that's the link. So if you guys want to check out my prints, the ones that I have up now. Some of the other ones, like, and there are a few prints that I've just kind of, they're on here, but I really need to switch them out and put some other stuff in there. Actually, they're not even all on here. Where are some of the other ones? Okay, so I have a couple that are not or that have sold out, which I see. Yeah, there are a couple that are sold out. So the only ones, okay. Yeah, see, I really need to get, so I had prints that from Paris. Actually, there's one print from Paris that's still on here, but the other prints from Paris are not on here anymore because they sold out. They probably just sold out because they were on here not too long ago. Yeah, so right now I only have 4 prints that are up here. And they're definitely not my best sellers, so I need to get more prints out. And you constantly have to do that because they will run out. It's kind of a balancing act. You don't want to put too many prints out. You don't want Amazon to have too many of your prints because over time, if you have them sitting there for a period of time, then they will start charging you to have them housed there. So you want to kind of try to balance it. Okay, all right. You need to start taking pics for Instagram models. Do they do that? Is that like a thing? I mean, I do see like there's some, you could tell that they're professionally, some of these prints or pictures are professionally done. But yeah, I guess they do that now. Yeah, Instagram models, yeah. All right, let's see. Colombian Instagram models, yeah, that guy. Yeah, you know what? That could work. I can do that. Pay me pesos, and I'll be in Colombia taking pictures. Yeah. So, as far as Carnival, that's kind of the way things went. I was there. I took pictures 2 days. And I mean, I focused on taking pictures for the 2 days. The Carnival was for 4 days. I missed 2 days just because I couldn't get up in time. And once you get up and get around and then you get out there, it's like usually I wanted to get there early. But if I couldn't get there early, then I just didn't go. Next year, the plan for next year is I want to do a workshop next year because like even in we have a group, the Colombia Advisory Group, the travel group, and I posted a lot of those pictures on the travel group, and everyone was like, "Oh, these are great pictures. Oh, how you take those? How you take those?" So I want to do a workshop next year at Carnival. That's going to be my plan, and so I want to have like a group of us that are out there taking pictures. I mean, it's an awesome place to go and take pictures, and you can get some really good shots if you can get some really good shots. Let's just put it that way. Let's see, TC, do you do senior photos and weddings? I do weddings. I don't do senior photos. Senior photos I mean, I've done senior photos before, but I don't do that. Like some people make really good money on senior photos. And they do the upselling, so they'll take the initial pictures and then they'll sell you all these different prints. They're not really, I don't want to say they're not popular in California, but I see over in other states, they're really popular. Like the senior photos are a real big market. And I know this because when I go to these events, these conventions, and you go to the training and stuff like that, you'll have these people coming from the Midwest, and it's huge out there. And in the South, it's big business, and that's their business. Their business is senior pictures. So yeah, I generally don't do that. I like to do weddings. The main thing I like about weddings is it's a one-shot deal, and I guess senior photos is a one-shot deal too. But it's how do I say it? it's one big event. You go, you take your pictures, you come home, you edit the pictures. You can do one wedding a month and still be fine. Whereas senior photos, you really need to shoot a lot. You know what I mean? You have to be out there getting a lot of gigs for the most part in order to make some good money. But with the weddings, yeah, and like when I retire, weddings, I can shoot one a month, 6 months out of the year, and that's a little extra money in my pocket, and I would be fine. Whereas if you're shooting family portraits or you're shooting senior photos, you're gonna have to shoot a lot more. So that's the way I see that. Let's see. Yeah, so that guy's saying the senior photos are starting to get big on the East Coast. Yeah, the East Coast, Midwest, these guys, they would come from those areas and they would do their whole spiel about taking senior photos and stuff like that, and they're doing really well with it. So yeah, people will pay top dollar for those pictures. Okay, yeah, Florida's a senior capital. Okay. Let's see that guy. Not sure if it's the same kind of seniors. That's a good one, that guy. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like that's what I would do for the carnival. This is the first carnival that I ever shot, and I think I did a pretty good job. Definitely next year, I will do better because I'll be better prepared. There's certain things that, like the whole flash thing. That first day that I went, I didn't have another flash. I didn't have a flash with me, so I had the 70-200 I had all my lenses. I brought all the lenses, but I only used the 70-200, but I didn't bring the flash, and so that was mistake number one. Bring a flash, I should have known better, but just didn't think about it. Yeah, got all my stuff ready, got out there, didn't think about it, and I was in I knew it was going to be a bad lighting situation, but it was even worse than expected because of the fact that you had half of the parade route was shade and then the other half was sunlight, direct sunlight. So if I wanted to shoot anyone, it was going to be the people that were in the shade, and I could, but I tried to avoid shooting people that are in the direct sunlight because they were overexposed. And I shoot manually, so I don't do aperture priority or anything like that. So I would have to, on the fly, switch back and forth. And so in that situation, yeah, I should have brought the flash. I should have, yeah, there's all stuff. So that's the first day. Second day, I came prepared, and that's when I realized, hey, standing up on the bleachers is probably not the ideal place where I want to be, even though I can see everything. And let me pull this down. I just noticed this. Let me see here. Let's see. I see these little things and they bug me when I notice them, so I just want to get rid of it now. Okay, so you see that little thing, that little red thing that's coming up and down? So it's the banner in the background, which I covered it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have a new banner on there. So I saw that right now, and I was like, "Ow, man, why is that showing? Is it on here too?" No, it's not on there. It's just on that one. That's funny. So yeah, so there are a lot of takeaways that I had from the event, and next year I definitely will have my flash at all times for that situation. Let's see. Okay, so David's asking, how did I get into YouTube? I got into YouTube a long time ago, but I never took it seriously until like probably about a year and a half ago. So, like 2011, I signed up for an account, and I never looked at YouTube as I never looked at YouTube as social media. I just kind of looked at YouTube as just a place where you can just put videos up. And so I put up a couple of videos, and it's funny. Let's see if I can pull up my old videos. they're really funny to me now. But I put up a couple of videos about photography, and because initially when I learned photography, I learned on YouTube. Like the majority of the stuff that I learned was on YouTube. And then after I learned the stuff on YouTube, then I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna get out there and get like and get some training. Like, so I went to an actual school and learned for about 6 months. I wanted to learn like the basics and all that, and so that's what I did. But initially, yeah, I got online, and that's what I was that's what I was doing, like going on YouTube, and YouTube was giving me all the info that I needed. And so then I started thinking, well, yeah, you know what? I could do this. I can put this out. I can do that. So then I put out a couple of videos. This is the one video that I put out. And this is what kind of changed my mind about, like, wow, this is kind of powerful. Like, it's a lot more powerful than I thought. And I'll,
but if you don't do anything on the
let me open this up
tell you where
for you guys, so you guys can see it. Okay, so I put this video out. And this was 8 years ago.
Today I'm going to show you how to use this wireless.
Not my face isn't on there or anything. This is the Canon 7D that I'm using.
I think it was about 7.
And all it was about was this wireless remote for Canon. That's it, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I just wanted to kind of show people, hey, I got this new thing. This is how to use it. And so what is it? 4 minutes and 24 seconds. And you see, look at the view count. 537,000 views. So when it first launched, like it was slow. It didn't, like, not too many people were checking it out. But then after a couple years, and I would just kind of go back every once in a while. I wasn't like looking at it or anything. Let me just close it. So after a couple years, I check in. It'd be like 20,000. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. And I'm thinking 20,000. And at the time, I had like 3 or 4 videos that were on the channel, and they're all the same, like review of a backpack, review of like a beanbag tripod, just weird stuff. And so after a while, I started, like I say, like 5 years in, I looked at it again. I'm like, wow, this thing is like over 100,000 views. What the heck? And people were asking questions, and does it work with this camera? Does it work with that camera? And I started getting frustrated, like, because people were putting comments on there, and I'm like, I don't know. Why are they asking me this? Not knowing that it's like it's a social media platform, so people are gonna ask questions. They're gonna want to know and all this stuff. So I would answer questions from time to time, and then people would ask, well, it didn't work for me. How do I get it to work? And all this stuff. And I became like the expert for this wireless remote, which I wasn't thinking like I would be an expert for that. And so like 2 years ago, I looked at it again, and at that point, it was like it was probably about 300 or 400,000, and I was like, this is ridiculous. That many people are jumping on here. 8 years after the fact, this little wireless remote is obsolete by now. Like, I don't even think they sell it anymore. They still sell wireless remotes, but the fact that I showed them how to use it, they're all pretty much, they work the same way. Even though this camera is old, they don't even sell this camera anymore, all that. So at that point, 2 years down the road, or 2 years ago, I started thinking, well, you know what? And at that point, 2 years down the road, I started getting like a little bit of money here and there. Like, I was already monetized, so I was starting to get money, and I would get like every 3 months I'd get the $100, because you have to get up to $100 for them to start sending money out to you. So every 3 months I'd get like $100, and I'm thinking, oh, this isn't bad. Like, I'm actually starting to get money out of this. Let me see if I could start doing this a little bit more. And so then at that point, that's when I started looking into doing more videos, and I did some more videos that were photography related. But I always wanted to focus. Like, I knew I wanted to focus on not just photography, but on travel as well. And so when I started traveling, that's when I started thinking, okay, well, I can talk about traveling, how to get there, not just how to take pictures when you're there. And so then I got into the whole credit cards and all that stuff to kind of explain exactly how I'm doing it, how I'm traveling all these different places. And even before that, like, I would have people asking me questions about about how I'm traveling. Like my friends asking me questions about how are you traveling all these places. People at work asking me because they see me on Facebook. I'm posting this, I'm posting that. I'm always traveling, and they were asking me, you know, how are you traveling to all these different places and doing this and doing that. And so that's where I start thinking, well, you know, people are asking, my friends are asking, so I might as well start doing some videos that talk about that. And even to this day, that's why I'm not an expert when it comes to travel credit cards or anything like that. I don't pretend to be an expert, but I will tell you what I've done, what's worked for me, and hopefully you can get something out of that. And that's pretty much the way that I do it. So I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm not going to tell you I know everything about travel credit cards. If you ask me a question, it's a card that I don't have or I don't know how it works, I'm going to tell you I don't have it. I don't know how it works. And that's the beauty of live streams. That's the beauty of Facebook groups. I might have some expertise. I might have had an experience where I've used Chase for this or Chase for that. I can tell you about that. Someone else, like David, might have an experience using American Express credit cards because he likes American Express and he uses this card, uses that card. So he's going to know a lot more about that. And that's where, as a group, we can all come together and be like, hey, yeah, you know what? You could try this, you could try that. And I've always been, you know, hopefully I've always expressed the fact that it doesn't matter what card you have. It's whatever works for you. So if you like a card for a certain reason, then get that card. There are certain cards that might give you earn possibility, or that give you earn possibility that's higher than some other cards. That's true. But if those points aren't points that you want for, like, let's say you don't want to fly on United, so you don't need Chase, or you want to fly on another airline, you don't earn as many points with this credit card, but it allows you to transfer your points to that airline and go with that airline or stay at that hotel or what have you. Like, there are a lot of people, I myself love to stay at Hyatt properties. If I have American Express, I can't transfer to Hyatt. So if I have Chase, I can transfer directly to Hyatt. So if I want to use points and transfer those points, Hyatt or transfer those points to Hyatt, then Chase is a better option for me. Even though I can get some better value with certain cards, the Amex Gold card, I can get better value, better earn possibility in the U.S. with that card. I would still go with Chase because, you know, it allows me to transfer. Okay, let's see. Photographing older women in is actually a luxurious market in the area. They're retired ones in pensions just coming in and they want to feel pretty and pampered, wine and dine. So like boudoir photography, huh? That guy? So 40 and fabulous photos, right? Yeah. Yeah, so so that guy's just pretty much saying like like an older women, there's like a market for older women. Like I don't know if it'd be more, probably wouldn't be like boudoir, but just taking pictures of them, maybe like a headshot or something, just to show them sexy, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not in that market, but that definitely, I'm sure that people are interested in that. There's some and that's one thing, and I talked about this very briefly in another live stream where I was talking about photographers and learning photography as just a side business, just a job that you can do anywhere. Like you can do photography any country, anywhere, because there's so many things that you can take pictures of. You can do even Airbnb. I don't know if they're still offering this, but at one point they were offering photographers, they were giving photographers money. Not that much money, but they were giving photographers money to take pictures of Airbnb properties. So you travel to, where do you travel? To Colombia, huh? So you travel to Colombia and you take pictures of Airbnbs and they pay you a little bit of money to do that. You can also strike up deals with people and take pictures, like the Airbnb that I stay in, that I will be staying in again in August in Colombia. The next time that I go, I'm taking pictures of that property because the pictures that they have are horrible. They're really bad. Take some pictures of the property, or as soon as I get there, you know, take some pictures of the property, and then send them the pictures. You know, send them with your watermark on it, but send them the pictures and say, hey, look, you know, I could do more of these for you if you want at the right price. So you can do things like that, but you can make so much money as a photographer anywhere in the world. Weddings, people get married all over the world. You can take pictures of weddings. You can do portraits. You can do all this stuff that we're talking about here. You could be the Colombian Instagram, whatever. So you can take a lot of pictures of different things. And travel photography, that's another big market where you can go out and take pictures of like people and destinations and all the stuff, and you can sell those prints to magazines and sell those prints to tourist boards and things like that. So there's a variety of different ways to make money with a camera. Okay, so learning photography, and you don't have to be like you know, you don't have to have all that expensive gear like I was talking about. It makes it easier, but you don't have to have all that expensive gear. You can have minimal gear and still take some really good pictures and sell those prints while you're on the road, while you're traveling. And you can get some free stuff for doing it, like free rooms. As you know, like let's say you have a hotel wants you to take pictures of their property, and they fly you out there and for a couple of days, and they fly you out, and you have a free hotel for a couple of days. I mean, this is long. Like I haven't done this before. I'm just saying, but there are opportunities out there like that. And one of the things that you can do is just go in there and take pictures, and then send it to them. And if they like it, they're gonna respond to you, at least to say, hey, these are good pictures. How much do you charge? That kind of stuff. So just different little things. But like definitely next time I go to that Airbnb, I'm going to take pictures of that Airbnb because I know I can do a better job than what the pictures that they have. So, okay, no, not boudoir. So that guy's saying no, not boudoir. Yeah. Let's see. There's also funeral for, yeah. You had to hit that one. That has always been strange to me. So that guy's saying there's also funeral photographers, as weird as it may sound. And it's weird because I did go to a funeral and they had a photographer. Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't do. There's certain photography that I wouldn't do, and one is funeral photography. Yeah, but people do that. So TEC, David Taylor, excuse me. David's saying that I should start working at TMZ. Well, you don't have to work for TMZ. You're a paparazzi basically. You sell your pictures to TMZ. Yeah, that's not something I would ever do. No. But you have people out there. They make some pretty good money doing it. But you have to really know LA, know where the stars hang out, and catch people doing stuff. And yeah, that's crazy. What do you think about the wireless remote via blew up? Okay. Oh, I missed this question here. So David was asking, what did I think when the wireless remote vid blew up? It was gradual, so it didn't do it like all at once. It was kind of gradual, and then it hit a point, and then it started skyrocketing. And at that time, if I knew what I knew now, that was the time I should have been putting out a bunch of videos and really jumping on it, because then I could have just rose with it, but I wasn't doing anything. I was just letting it rise, and then when it got up to like 300,000, then I started thinking, oh, well, wow, this thing is really taking off. Let me get in. But I was at the tail end of it. If I was at the beginning when it started really rising, I could have gotten a lot of, because the way YouTube works, by the way, if you guys are in here, hit the like button so more people can see. But the way YouTube works is if they see something taking off, so if they see one of my videos taking off and I'm putting out more videos at that same time, then they're going to start promoting those videos more, because I have a video that's doing well and people are interested in that video. So now they're going to start promoting all my other videos. And that's what it comes down to. A lot of it, it's not, it is what you're saying, like it is the quality, of what you're saying and how well, not really how the video looks, but as long as the video is, if the video looks more professional, then yes, you'll probably keep people a little bit longer. If the audio is good, you're going to keep people on your video a little longer. But when they see a video taken off and then you put some other videos out, then they're going to promote those videos, because and so more people will see it, more people will see it, more people will watch it, and it'll push those videos up, and then you just keep doing videos like that. So that was the perfect opportunity for me to really put out a lot of videos. But I waited, and then since then, I have a few videos that jump every once in a while. It's mainly my travel credit card videos, and believe it or not, people love. And I don't put these videos out too much anymore. But and I need to actually. I'll probably do it more, kind of like on the live streams here, not the live streams, but for the photography end. But the let's see. These are my popular these are my popular videos here. We'll just take a look at them real quick. So the wireless remote is the most popular, and then the Premiere Pro stuff. People love the Premiere Pro stuff, and I get it, because I'm always looking on YouTube for stuff on how to edit videos. So these are the next 3 popular videos, and this one I put out 2 years ago. It's 190,000. And so, and then you get in, this is a video I put in 8 years ago. It was the battery grip, and then the ICC profile, so printing, like printing your photos. Lens here, people love like lens reviews and camera stuff. And I broke my Samsung, so I wanted to show that. I don't know why that's so popular, to be honest. I broke the little thing, the little pin on it, and so I talked about it. And then the travel backpack, we talked about this yesterday, the Amazon Basic. I love this backpack. And then this is that international bag, the roller bag that I use, that I just used for Colombia. And then the credit cards. So credit cards are like 14,000. That's the best one that I have so far. So credit card videos, generally, they jump if they're popular. So like this card's popular, it'll jump up and then it'll kind of level off. They usually don't do that well, but they're probably the steady, like they'll get me 1,000, 2,000 views, the good ones, but they usually don't get much higher than that. So usually the ones that get high, the ones that get real high, the top 3 right here, or the top 4, but out of the top 4, the 3 here is Premiere Pro. And that's because people, they want to know how to do something, and then they forget, like me. Like, I want to know how to do something, and then I forget, and then I have to go back and look at it again, and I forget it. And so it's probably the same people watching the video over and over again. Okay, the tip we're taking with taking pictures of hotels and sending them to the manager certainly works. Yeah, and I'll try. I mean, it is what it is, but real estate photography is not easy. It's very challenging. I'm still learning a lot about it, but the hardest part is the windows. So doing, like they call window pulls. So shooting windows to get the right exposure, so when you look out the window, you don't just see all white. Like if I take a picture of an interior and there's a window there and the window's open and the lights are on in the interior, I take that picture, but that window is still going to be blown out. When I say blown out, it's just going to look all white. You're not going to see any blue or any blue sky or anything like that. So the trick is to do a window pull where you use a flash and you bounce that flash inside near the window, and then you can actually pull it. So when you take a picture outside, you get the correct exposure for the window, like what's outside, and then you bounce the flash off the other area inside and completely blow it out. And then when you come back in post, you can pull that out. You use 2 images and you pull that window back out. I don't know. Like, I've tried it. It's worked somewhat, but I'm still working on fine tuning it. So that's the real trick. Like if you can get those down and have a real nice shot where you can see outside the window, those sell. So yeah, I don't even know why I went into all that, but yeah, real estate photography is not easy because of that, because of the windows. And you want to see the windows, right? You go to a house, real estate, you're trying to sell, you're trying to sell your place and everything. You want people to be able to see what's outside. And let's say it's a hotel in Vegas, you want to be able to see the outside and the inside, and you want to be able to see it at that exposure. Our eyes can see it, but the cameras can't pick up they can't pick up that dynamic range. They can't get that, all that. Okay. Okay, so Dave's asking me what's my long-term plans for photography on YouTube. I don't know. It's a good question. I'll just say this. Long-term for the channel, because I want to really focus on the travel photography, like travel and photography, so not just the photography aspect. But long-term with the channel, with the YouTube channels, I want to be able to just share my experiences with everyone. And I want to have a large enough audience where we all have, like I said, we all have all these different experiences, and we all put them all together. And so I get on a live stream and there's a bunch of people in here. We're all talking about all of our experiences, and the Facebook thing, the same thing, where we have a lot of people in there and we're all talking about different experiences, and we're helping each other out. Because when I discovered how I could travel for a lot less and go and pretty much live my dream of going and taking pictures all around the world, it just, I was really happy. Like, I was like, oh, this works. Like, it really works. And you hear about it. You hear about people using points and doing this and frequent flyer this and frequent flyer that. But then you think, does it really work? Is this a gimmick? I don't want to use credit cards, all this stuff. But then when you start actually doing it and you apply it and you take that first trip and you're like, wow, I spent $500 on a trip and I stayed there for 10 days. This is crazy, you know? And it can easily be done. Like, you can easily do it. So, yeah, that's what I want the channel to be about. I want the channel to be about learning how to get to these different places. And if you're a photographer, great. Even if you're not a photographer, you're just a person that wants to travel, here's how you can do it. Okay. Yeah, so that guy said most architectural real estate photographers do multi-layer shots. Yeah. And I have to get, like, I'm pretty good in Photoshop now, but yeah, and I do take multi-layer shots. And I used to do HDR. I'm really getting away from that now just because it just looks too fake. I don't like the way it comes out. And I know you can adjust it, and I'm still, like, I used to, when I first started landscape, I was doing the HDR, and it was just, I look at those pictures now and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? These things are crazy, just nasty looking. But yeah, so I'm learning with the real estate. I do want to do more real estate, and I do real estate now. Like, I'll probably do, I don't do it very often, but I'll do probably one a month. So one property I'll go shoot a month, and that's only because I'm only working with one realtor. Now, if I opened up and started working with more realtors, then I could shoot a lot more. But I'm really trying to learn that whole craft, because that real estate is that's even more lucrative. It can be more lucrative than a lot of the other stuff that I shoot, like weddings and stuff like that, because real estate, I can do some pretty big gigs. If you're traveling, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm always trying to think travel. Like, if I'm traveling, how can I make money if I really needed to make money? So let's say I retire. My plan is to retire in 4 years. I retire in 4 years. I still want to make some money. I want to travel, but I want to make some money while I'm traveling. This is a good opportunity for me to be out there making money. Okay, let me, okay. So that's that. All right, we're going to get through these last couple of questions, and I'm going to have to go answer that phone. Let's see. Would you bring a collaborator or interview with others? Wait. Would you bring in any collaborators or interview with others? Yes, I would, that guy, definitely. If you're talking about on the channel, yeah, I want to learn how to set that all up. That's something that I'm still working, and I know you guys are probably seeing kind of a gradual changes in my channel, like my live streams. So I've gradually changed things. Like today, I put in this new little thing here, the new little lower thirds, I guess, or whatever you call it, the bottom thing there. So I'm gradually changing and advancing and figuring out different things. And the next thing I need to figure out is how to do like a Skype call where we have the dual windows and everything. But I definitely want to have that where we have people on. And I'm sure some of you guys would volunteer to come on and then just talk about your experiences, travel experiences, and what have you. Travel points experiences, all that good stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to do that in the future. But I'm just trying to work out this stuff now that I've been doing this for what, about 3 months now. And so as I continue doing it, yeah, I want to definitely have people who collab with me on the channel. Okay, I'm not the one with the diamond status parking. Okay, Hilton Aspire says I have no hotels enough for Aspire. Okay, so David says he's been noticing the improvements. Thank you very much. Yeah, for me, it takes me a while to kind of like figure out, okay, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And then you have to look at like other people's live streams and you think, oh yeah, you know what, that'd be nice to put that there. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now. But definitely in the future, and I think one of the good things when we have the Facebook group going really well, we'll have a lot of people on there and I can just hit people up there and say, hey, you want to be on my live stream? And then we can just go from there. But yeah, I definitely want to have people on there, as well as people that are people who have channels already that are interested in some more publicity or more exposure. That would be something I'm interested in as well. Okay, and thank you, that guy. I appreciate that. All right, so I am going to go ahead and take off. I definitely need to grab this phone call, and it is what, 9:30 here. So we've been on a little while. I thank you guys all for stopping by, and we will be back on next Saturday for sure. But I might end up jumping in and doing a video, a stream before then. And I'm actually, God, I'm thinking about really killing myself here, but I want to do another live stream. So I'm going to try to figure out, Colombia's calling, yeah. I'm trying to figure out, but I might even have a point where I do like maybe an extra stream on the same day. So I'll have 2 streams on one day. I don't know. We're going to figure something out. But I want to do one, you guys know already, because I talk about Colombia so much, I think it'd be better if I had a live stream where I'm just talking about Colombia. And then when I do the other streams, then I can kind of focus more on the other, so if it's travel reward credit cards, I can focus more on that. And then, yeah, you guys get the point. So we'll see how it works. But I really like doing the live streams. I think I'm getting a lot out of it, and hopefully you guys are as well. So I think I like doing them. So we'll see if we might add another one or do something. We'll figure something out. Okay, the rest of our video is great. How about more of those? HD Chillin', thank you for that. I appreciate that. I did that one. That was probably the best one I did. I did another one when I first got into town, but into Medellin. But there's so many different things you have to think about. I can't shoot at night, and when I got there, it was late, and I went to a restaurant and I tried to shoot it, and the lighting was bad, basically. So the food doesn't look good, and it was all dark. And then I did another one, which I'll post that one, but that one was in my hotel room. That was kind of funny, but it was a famous pizza place in Barranquilla. But I didn't go to the actual pizza place. I just had them deliver it to me because it was the last night that I was going to be there, and I wanted to eat this pizza because everybody had been talking about this pizza place, and so I just had them delivered to me. And so I was eating in my hotel room, but I did kind of a review. So I'll post that one. That was kind of funny. But yeah, I'll do more food reviews in the future when I start traveling, because I'm learning kind of how to do. Like I'm not big. I don't really know how to do the vlogs. Like there's some really good vloggers out there. I'm not one of them. So I'm learning kind of how to do that. and just be comfortable. The hardest part is being comfortable in public, like talking to your camera in public. That's the hardest part. So yeah, I'll be doing more of those. I can do more travel related stuff and like try to figure that out. Now, right now, I still have probably like 18 videos that I need to edit from Colombia that I haven't edited yet, that I'm constantly working on. But I still have, I have a full-time job, and then I'm doing the live streams. I'm trying to do the YouTube thing as well, and I'm doing my little photography stuff on the side. And then when I have some free time, then I go through those videos. My whole plan has always been, when I travel, is to shoot as much video footage as I can, try to put as many videos together, like in my head, like think, okay, I'm going to do one of this restaurant, I'm going to do one here, I'm going to do one there, shoot all the footage, and then once I get back home, then start editing that footage and then kind of releasing them, dripping them out every few a week. So that's kind of my plan. Okay, all right, I really need to go, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Yeah, after the booty call. All right, David. Yeah, yeah, so I will definitely be on next Saturday, and you'll probably see a couple of videos I'll release prior to that. So thank you guys for stopping by, and please hit the like button on your way out, and if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.